the best place to work.
I love working here.
I feel very blessed.
I love it here.
I look forward to coming to work every day, being a part of this team.
Like a family away from home.
Where everyone feels like everybody knows their name.
A city that supports you. We see that with our benefits.
A pension, vacation days, job security.
Being able to be heard.
We feel valued. We feel respected.
Lee Summit is a very progressive city.
It's growing, it's thriving.
We have this drive towards not just doing a job, but doing it with a spirit of excellence.
I had the opportunity to continue to grow, regardless of 30 plus years doing this kind of work.
It's more than just dollars and cents.
We're here really to give back.
Providing a service to better a community.
To go out and serve people.
To be a part of something bigger than yourself. If I would have known what I know now, years ago, I would have been here much sooner.
Hello, Lee Summit. I'm Jordan. Here's your flash briefing for the week of January 5th. City Council will meet for a regular session Tuesday night at 6 in Council Chambers in City Hall. Meetings are open to the public or watch live on the city's YouTube channel. If you can't watch, catch the recorded meeting on demand on the YouTube channel or by subscribing to the Council Debrief newsletter, which breaks down 3 to 4 key agenda items. Subscribe at cityofls.net. Low temperatures are in the forecast this weekend. Be sure to protect your pipes by doing these 4 simple tasks. Disconnect hoses from outside spigots, leave cabinet doors open for warm air circulation, let water trickle to keep it flowing, and insulate pipes and faucets in unheated areas. Find more winterization tips at lswater.net. Join our team at the City of Lee Summit. The city offers rewarding career opportunities, a positive environment, and fantastic benefits. View all open opportunities at lspeople.net. Ready to feel stronger and healthier in the new year? Rev Up and Reload is a Lee Summit Parks and Recreation 6-week comprehensive wellness program designed to achieve your health goals. Receive nutrition classes and enjoy a group training atmosphere. Sign up at lsparks.net. Thanks for listening and have a great week.
Officers en route, 914, armed robbery.
Welcome to the Lee Summit Sign Department. We are going to walk you through our process from start to finish. We make signs as needed here. It's not like we just go out into the field and place a speed limit sign here, or no parking here. Our traffic engineers, they go through and they'll do field studies. They'll send us down an engineering work order for us to go out, place new signs or remove signs as needed. Coming from the material, our blanks come in and they're just aluminum blanks. We can put our white, our red, our fluorescent yellow, green, whatever. And basically what it looks like is just that there. Throw it up into the roller. And once we got it covered, take it to our work table here, and Tim will cut the corners, cut all the access off to where it's lined up right. As far as the plotter and the software that we use, there's a street name sign there, and he's gonna go ahead and print that out on the plotter so you can see the plotter and how it operates and runs. There's standards for the height, even just on letters on the sign blank. Basically what we have on the computer there is it's pretty much set up to those. And it goes through, it's got a very small but sharp needle that goes through and cuts everything out, letter by letter. Once that's done cutting, our next stage would be bringing it over here. Currently picking out the sign letters right now. We call it weeding or picking or however you want to call it. Next, putting it on the transfer tape. Then after it's taped, we bring it over to the roller. That's where we apply it to the actual signed blank. And we'll roll it through one time just to get the air bubbles out. And the last stage is basically just taking the transfer tape off the front of it. And there's a finished product of the street name sign. We'll take you out to the field and show you our process that we go through. We're gonna go out and follow our sign guys and get something installed for you. This is where we check our underground utilities. Tim, you got AT&T?
AT&T's back here.
Evergy, Google, so we should be good to go. We normally put all of our stuff together out in the field. Then once the base is installed, we'll go ahead and put the post in there. We've come up to perfect. And that's how we do it. Simple. Quick.
The City of Lee's Summit has hundreds of traffic lights across its more than 1,000 lane miles, all managed by the city's public works traffic technicians. The work happens inside those metal boxes on the side of each intersection. Inside, technicians program a device called the controller. The controller communicates directly with each signal head via underground wires, telling each light when to turn on and off based on a programmed cycle. City traffic engineers designed this cycle to allow traffic to flow as efficiently as possible for that particular intersection. In order to best match current traffic patterns, they install something called a detection system. Detection systems have taken many forms over the years, from sensors in the pavement to radar boxes. But in Lee Summit, they primarily consist of cameras, which workers mount above the traffic signals. These cameras don't record video or your speed. Instead, they monitor the spaces at the front of the intersection and identify when a vehicle is present in a specific spot. Once a vehicle is identified, the detection system sends a message to the controller, which then adapts its standard cycle to best serve the cars that are present. The pedestrian button works in a similar way. When the button is pressed, the controller receives a signal, requesting that it allow that section of the pedestrian walkway to go, which it then inserts into the signal pattern. Technicians also install something called a conflict monitor. The conflict monitor is a device in which they program all the potential patterns of lights that would lead to a collision. If the other systems mistakenly trigger those patterns, the conflict monitor sends the intersection into flash, causing all lights to flash red and directing drivers to treat it like an all-way stop. City traffic technicians implement and maintain these systems so effectively, we rarely consider them. But every time we safely pass through a signal-controlled intersection, it's all thanks to their work. So the next time you're waiting at a red light, remember the delicate coordination of super smart systems that move you through that space safely and efficiently every day.
I really love living in our historic downtown. I walk my dog around. The shops take her for, they do pub cups at Poppy's, so you can get ice cream with a little dog biscuit in it, which is her favorite thing in the world. My neighbors, we have block parties together. I really like how welcoming and how vibrant it is. It's an amazing place to live. Lee Summit's a really great community. I love living here, and I just wanted to try to find a way to give back, look out for my neighbors, for the community. I've always tried to be involved. Before serving on city council, I used to volunteer with AFS, which is an organization that hosts foreign exchange students. So my husband and I have hosted kids from around the world and then also volunteered with local families and schools. In my professional life, I'm a paralegal, and then in my personal life, I enjoy reading, sewing. I'm a quilter, so I just finished a log cabin quilt that I'm going to send to my aunt out in DC. I can't claim any of our council accomplishments for myself. This is always a team effort. But I am really excited about the farmers market and event space that we have coming in. It's still in the design phases, but I think it's going to be a really beautiful space, and it's going to really continue keeping our downtown thriving. It's been in progress for a long time, but I think that people are going to really love it when it's done. I think one of my top priorities is going to be attainable housing that, for example, I've been trying to find a place for my mom in Lee Summit. And it's really challenging finding something that really works for a retiree who doesn't have a huge budget. Just trying to make it more attainable for people no matter where they're at in their lives to be a part of our community. Community is what we make it. Everybody should get involved in whatever way they can, whether that's just voting or whether it's joining a board or a commission or even running for office. Whether they say the world is run by those who show up. So get involved however you can and make a difference in the community.
Welcome to the Lee Summit Planning Commission for Thursday, January 8th, 2026. Can we get a roll call attendance, please?
Ed Yerington.
Present.
Sherry Frazier.
Present.
Jake Lovelace. Terry Trafton.
Present.
Dana Arth.
Present.
Jessica Greneau.
Present.
Tanya Jonaford.
Present.
Chip Tazinski.
Present.
Randy Benbrook.
Present.
All right, can I get an approval of the agenda? A motion?
Motion to approve. I'll second.
Second.
All right, can we get a roll call vote on that, please?
Ed Yerington.
Yes.
Sherry Frazier.
Yes.
Terry Trafton.
Yes.
Dana Arth.
Yes.
Jessica Greneau.
Yes.
Tanya Jonaford.
Yes.
Chip Tazinski.
Yes.
Randy Benbrook.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Do we have any public comments related to the business of the Planning Commission in general, not related to the application tonight? I see none, so we will move on to the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve that?
Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Ed Yerington.
Yes.
Sherry Frazier.
Yes.
Terry Trafton.
Yes.
Dana Arth.
Yes.
Jessica Greneau.
Yes.
Tanya Jonaford.
Yes.
Chip Tazinski.
Yes.
Randy Benbrook.
Yes.
Thank you. I will now close the regular meeting and open the public meeting in the matter of PL 2025-079, rezoning from Ag to RP1, RP4, and CP2, Preliminary Development Plan and Conceptual Development Plan. Legacy Ridge, 815 Southwest Hook Road, Griffin Riley Property Group applicant. For those of you that plan to speak on behalf of this application, if you would stand up and be sworn in at this time.
Promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
All right, thank you. Does the applicant have a presentation? Please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, hello, good evening. My name is Matt Tapp. I'm with the team of Griffin Riley Property Group, 21 Southeast 29th Terrace, Lee Summit, Missouri, 64082. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. First and foremost, thank you so much for taking time away from your families to represent the community and to volunteer your time to serve on the Planning Commission. We really appreciate it. And I also appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today. Let me open up my slides. Okay. Can everyone see my slides? Let's see. I don't know if Dan, are you here to, oh, here it is, full screen mode. Okay, is that where I needed to go? Okay, perfect. All right, again, thank you everyone for your time. I appreciate it. Like I said, my name is Matt Topp. I'm part of the team at Griffin Riley Property Group, and hopefully everyone can see my screen on your screens as well as the viewing public back there. A little background about Griffin Riley Property Group real quick. As you all should be familiar with us, we are very active in the Lee Summit community. We have over 2.76 million square feet of assets in review and $626 million in total projects. We have the experience and expertise to operate and manage all forms of commercial real estate. We also have a very strong capital position, and we believe that our approach is extremely important. We're agile and responsive to market demands. Our approach is very straightforward. We design every project to seamlessly integrate with and enhance the surrounding neighborhood. You can see our priorities. I'm not going to read verbatim the history there. Griffin Riley Property Group was formed in 2017, and we operate today. Real quick, our folks. Fred is our founder CEO. He has also served on this very planning commission in the past and is heavily involved in the community. Jake Lovelace is our vice president, and he serves on the planning commission and is a valuable Lee Summit community member, and you can see our experience through here. Myself, I have a background in economic development and community development planning, as well as the private sector, so I feel like I bring a pretty unique and a valuable perspective where I've been on all sides of the table on different projects and proposals. So now our portfolio, like I said, we're very active in Lee Summit. If you drive out on 50 Highway out towards Lone Jack and Warrensburg eventually, and the new Blackwell interchange, you will see our Blackwell Collective, which is the shops at Blackwell is our planned retail there. That will be the last component to come through. And I believe we are just about to welcome our first residents at Residence at Blackwell. That's a 268-unit luxury apartment complex. And then the other two components of our Blackwell master planned community is Reunion, which is our active adult 55-plus townhomes, single-story, fourplex, and then Reserve at Blackwell, which I'm very excited about as it is a extremely important product for the Kansas City metro area and Lee Summit. It's a single-family build-to-rent or BTR single-family community. We've got 77 units there, and I do believe we've had pretty strong pre-leasing traction and interest in those units. Shifting to Raymore down in Cass County, we opened up the Venue Luxury Townhomes. If you're familiar with I-49 and North Cass Parkway and then Dean Avenue, those are 204 units, predominantly leased and basically stabilized. Great asset that Raymore is proud to have. And speaking of our background, we do have quite a bit of experience with single-family homes with about 3,000 units total. And then on the commercial side, back on 50 Highway, we have 1151 Southeast Oldham, which is Oak Tree Commons. Blush Fitness, if that rings a bell, another tenant that's basically fully leased and stabilized retail asset. Our team for Legacy Ridge, our civil engineers is Schlegel, Dan Foster, and Mark Brewer here in attendance to answer any questions. And then Amy McCurdy is our traffic engineer, and she is happy to answer any questions as well. So to give a little background as to where we're talking, we are at the southeast corner of Southwest Ward Road and Southwest Ward Road and Southwest Hook Road. It is 131.05 or roughly around 130 acres. And regionally, if you go down 291, exit onto 150, head up Ward, we are on that southeast corner, like I said, where Hook and Ward are currently a signalized intersection. The current zoning, as there's not been any real development activity on this parcel, is agricultural. Our requested rezoning or zoning districts, we originally approached this from a PMIX perspective because of the different components. And in working with staff, and again, we really appreciate staff's time as we had a wonderful experience working with staff and all the different facets of the project, but the planning staff, the development staff advised that we actually break it out to where we have the C2 or the planned C2 for the commercial, and then we have the planned R4 district for going west to east away from Ward, a planned apartment community, our Reunion or our active adult villas, and then our townhomes, and then our smaller lot single family. And then RP1 would be for planned single family residential, and I'll get more to detail on those. But we basically wanted to recognize that we want to match use for use on the south side because there's an existing single family subdivision to the south. So we wanted to honor that land use with a continuation of that. And then we have our east-west collector street. And again, I'll go into more detail on the site plan later. In terms of the Ignite comprehensive plan, I wanted to show you where it is superimposed on the future land use plan map. As you can see, there's residential category 1 and 2 on the subject property. And furthermore, with Ignite, as you all are fully well aware of the Ignite comprehensive plan, I don't need to go into detail. It is both the business plan and the game plan for Lee Summit now and moving into the future. If you go into the Ignite comprehensive plan, it talks further about the vision, the aspirational goals of housing for Lee Summit, as well as a continued growth trajectory for Lee Summit. If you go a little bit further about the future direction and plans within housing, the goal percentage is 65% Category 1, 20% Category 2, and 15% Category 3. I'm sure this is not new to any of the planning commissioners. And inside the IGNITE plan, it talks further, and I'm not going to read this verbatim, but the core element is in the upper right-hand corner, which is the current mix, and maybe this has changed, and staff could certainly chime in, but when IGNITE was drawn, the current mix was 72% single-family or Category 1, 13% medium, 15% higher density apartments, with the recommended mix going from 72, 13, 15 to 65, 20, and 15. So bringing it all together on the comprehensive plan, our proposal, Legacy Ridge, presents different options for single-family homes, and it positions it to existing neighborhood, matching use for use again, while also offering townhomes and active adult villas to provide for different options and choice with housing, and meeting these IGNITE plan objectives, as well as fulfilling that missing middle housing where you go from a 2-family up to a 4, 6, 8 unit, but not being 3, 4, or 5 stories tall. And of course, as most things we do, it's top-notch, the best premium quality possible. As you can see in the lower right-hand side, I just want to show where the IGNITE plan calls out the density factors that they like to see in Category 1 and 2, and the Legacy Ridge is on the right-hand side of your screen, and we are at or below those thresholds, both for the detached residential or the single family, as well as the attached residential. Okay, now, for our plan, as I said before, I wanted to go into further detail on the plan itself. And so you will see that we have a collection of matching land uses that we feel like creates a true community within a community. Going from Ward and Hook, the current signalized intersection, we have planned commercial that will support the rooftops and the residential as part of the rest of our project. And then going down further, we have our active adult villas, so that's in the middle part of the site plan. If you go down Legacy Commons Drive, and then our main east-west collector street to be future signalized as Legacy Ridge Drive, and there we have that again matching single family. So single family pod A, which is the 50-foot wide lots proposed, and our single family pod B, or for boy, 60 to 62 foot wide lots. And then going back on Legacy Drive, next to the active adult villas is our planned 2-story townhomes, luxury townhomes. And then our final single family pod C, which would be the 40-foot wide lots. In terms of the look and feel of it, the proposed materials and color palette are included in our design manual, design book that we provided to staff, and I'm hopeful that you all had a chance to get a copy of that and review. If not, I'm happy to reshare and send it all out. But in terms of our materials and color palette, we, again, are presenting a classical look. We prefer and are looking towards a modern farmhouse look for the single family, the townhomes, as well as bringing in a top-notch commercial finish. It is very similar to what we have proposed. We love the look and feel of the commercial we proposed on our 150 and prior project, which is now called Iconic at Osage, where we have different textures. We have the stone, masonry, stucco, LP panels. Again, I won't go into detail, but happy to answer any questions. Now, going through the architectural styles, we have the single family pod A, that's going from west to east, from Ward going inward to the development. We've got pod A, the 50-foot wide lots, and we are showing a medley of different looks and feels, generally within the modern farmhouse look and feel. Pod B, the 60, 62-foot wide lots, so it opens up a little bit more. Might have a third car garage, but sticking to the overall look and feel aesthetic of the subdivision. And then pod C in the very eastern side, we have the 40-foot wide lots, and you can see again more of a farmhouse tilt and or modern style. Moving to the active adult, which is similar to our reunion product over in Blackwell. Again, single story, 4-unit buildings, geared towards a active 55 plus crowd, target audience. And then what is somewhat unique in our proposed townhomes for this project is we have two different product types within the townhomes. We have the alley loaded, which presents an opportunity to provide more interesting architectural elements on the front side with windows, et cetera, masonry. And then we have our more traditional front loaded, which is all two-car garage, and again, the garages are front loaded. And then again, our typical commercial elevation. Talking further about the phasing plan of our proposal, we go phase 1, phase 2, and a future phase. Phase 1 is in yellow, phase 2 is in green, and then a future to be determined phase is the purple blue shade of color. And on the text, I want to provide you with our phase designation from our site plan, and then in parentheses was the designation within our traffic impact study, so you can kind of compare apples to apples. So phase 1 in the yellow, we are talking about installing the single-family pod A and B, a portion of the active adult villas with the clubhouse and full amenities, and then all the townhomes, and then a portion of the single-family pod C. With that, we would install Legacy Ridge Drive and the access point onto Ward with all corresponding turn lanes. And then north to south, Legacy Commons Drive, which is the north-south street, would then connect up to Hook Road with interim standards with left turn in, right turn in on that access point. Phase 2, or the TIS Phase 1B, that's where the green comes into play, where the remaining phase of the active adult villas, the remaining phase of single-family pod A, single-family pod B, the connection of Windsong Drive south to the existing neighborhood, and then we are proposing to install the new traffic signal at Legacy Ridge Drive and Ward Road. The future phases, as we are planning it out, with the purple and blue. In evaluating the market conditions, we feel that our phasing aligns with what the sub-market area is looking for, which is the single family and then the medium density. Further out, we have planned an apartment community, which at this time, it's important to stress, is merely a conceptual plan and not a formal PDP, preliminary development plan, or final development plan. When the apartment community comes back to be proposed, that would have a whole nother public element of a PDP and FDP. We are merely looking at it from a intelligent planning perspective and seeing that apartments make a lot of sense next to the commercial retail on the corner. Same goes for the commercial. Our general experience, like Blackwell, is you build the residential and the retail follows. I always say retail follows rooftops, never the other way around, ever, ever, ever. Very rare instances. So we're looking at the commercial as being a follow-up to the new rooftops of the area and preserving and calling that out. With that phase, we are talking about Hook Road, and we are proposing upgrade to full urban standard on eastbound Hook, or the south side of Hook Road, and then preserving or maintaining that interim standard on the north side of Hook, or the opposite side of our development, for 12-foot lanes and 6-foot paved shoulder. And then on B, on the plan, Legion Drive would then connect up to Hook Road. That is a right-in, right-out, RO access, where we would add a new right turn lane, 150-foot storage, and then Legion northbound would be a new approach, obviously, with a right turn only lane and stop controlled. Letter C on the plan is Ward and Reunion Drive. Same goes as Legion Drive with Reunion Drive, very similar, except Reunion Drive would be a 3/4 access where there's no left out. That is the limited traffic movement. D on the plan, down on the lower right-hand side, is tied to the future phase of single-family pod C. When that future phase of single-family pod C occurs, Windermere Drive would then be designed and constructed to connect to the south as well, similar in nature to Windsong Drive. And I believe Lee Summit R7 School District is in talks with that southeast corner, if you will, of Legacy Ridge Drive and Windermere Drive for a future elementary school. But that is outside the purview of our proposal. Like I said, we had a wonderful experience. We continue to have a wonderful experience with staff, coordinating with them and all the different aspects of such a multifaceted proposal. The one caveat or one condition, we agree with all conditions and recommendation for approval, but the one that we wanted to discuss further with you all is the staff recommendation on Hook Road on that future phase, that blue-purple area, would be to upgrade both sides of Hook Road to urban standard in accordance with their urban or their interim unimproved road policy, to get the right terminology correct. That would include storm sewer, curb and gutter, 6-foot sidewalk on the north side. We're already accepting the 10-foot shared use path on the south side. And of course, the intersection widening at the light or at the intersection of Hook and Ward to make all that happen. Our request is south side, we agree. Let's do that urban standard because of our development. On the north side, again, we are proposing to maintain it as interim standard until that side of the road further develops for a new proposal. The reasoning for that, again, I won't go into a whole lot of detail, but we feel like that creates more of a blank slate or a open canvas for that side. Whomever proposes a development there, that they'll have more of a blank slate to be able to cater to what they're looking for. The result of which is we have immediate safety and connectivity on the south side while preserving the north side to be future ready and context sensitive for the eventual build out. The other factor there is, if you notice, our proposal has a little unique boundary on the east side. That's because there's a hard, high ridge line through there, and everything that flows north of there has no sewer service, and it's going to be multi-mile extension to get sewer service there, meaning it's going to take some time for that to further develop. And as such, we want to create a good blank canvas for them to be able to build off of when that gets further developed. Again, I appreciate everyone's time. My name is Matt Tapp again with Griffin Riley Property Group. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Can we have the staff presentation, Mr. Soto?
Hector Soto Jr., Senior Planner. I'd like to enter into the record Exhibit A, list of exhibits 1 through 16.
Exhibit A 1 through 16 entered into the record.
So, some of the information I'll be giving you, of course, will be a little bit repetitive, but just from a big picture standpoint, I'll give an overview of what this application entails. So essentially what we're dealing with is a three-prong application tonight. And I'll go through a little bit more in detail for everyone's edification, for the public, for staff, for the Planning Commission, as to what exactly each of these three things mean that are coming forward, that the Planning Commission will be making a recommendation on, and that City Council will ultimately be making a decision upon. So from a big picture standpoint, we're dealing with the 131 acres that are located at the southeast corner of Ward Road and Hook Road. Like I said, it's a three-prong application. There's a rezoning component associated with this request from the applicant. There's a preliminary development plan component, and there's also a conceptual development plan component, and I'll go through those in my presentation. As part of this application, there are two modification requests that I'll also go into further detail, but they do have to do with some minimum lot size requirements in two. Sorry about that. So there are two modification requests, each having to do with minimum lot size requirements in the RP1 and RP4 zoning areas. So just to kind of reorient everyone, so again, we're looking at that southeast corner. The image on the left is a copy, a screenshot of the existing zoning map for that area. So everything that's in this lime green color that you can see here is on both sides of Ward Road. There is currently zoned agricultural. The bulk of the property that's contained within the image here is composed of property reserve, property reserve property. To the south, you can see that there's existing single-family residential subdivision. To the southwest there, kind of in that carnation color, is a little bit of the corner of the existing Arbor Walk development that has P-mix zoning. So walking through the first prong of the application, we are looking at a rezoning request. So here you have the color-coded areas that denote the boundaries of each of the 3 zoning districts that are being requested. So I'll start from south and go north. So the southernmost portion here that's kind of in this wheat color is approximately 44 acres that's being requested to be rezoned RP1, which is planned single-family residential. As we move forward, both of these polygons here, irregularly shaped polygons, constitute a total of about 71 acres that are proposed as RP4, which is planned apartment. And I'll go a little bit more because I'm sure it'll maybe cause some concern or question as to some of the titles, particularly of this one, as to what RP4 means, and the title is planned apartment. Like I said, I'll go a little bit over that a little bit later in the presentation. But it's 71 acres through the middle portion of the site. 17 of those, or just under 18 acres of that, is this furthest most west portion of it that does, on the plan presented in front of you, that will be considered tonight, on the conceptual piece, is shown as apartments for now. The northernmost section here is about 16 acres of commercial zoning that's being requested. So that'll be at the hard corner of the 2 arterial streets, Ward Road and Hook Road. So again, this gives you a little bit of overview of the project. Again, 131 acres. In total, there are 738 total dwelling units across the entire acreage. Now, 300 of these is this component here, which is the conceptual apartments. 197 of these are single-family detached, about 132 single-family attached, which is this middle portion that has been referred to as the active adult section. There is a townhome section here, just off the middle, that's composed of 109 dwelling units. And again, this apartment section is conceptually shown as 300 units. At the commercial component is a little bit more than 66,000 square feet of total commercial area. And from a density standpoint, the overall residential component makes up, if you include the conceptual apartment, is at a little bit less than 6 dwelling units per acre. If you were to omit this conceptual piece, we are looking at a little bit less, just under 4 units per acre for everything here that you see through the middle and the south end here. The phasing plan you've seen here, they've broken it down into 3 phases. So the first sub area that I'll say is the RP1 area. I believe they were identified as pods A and B on the applicant's presentation. So again, I'm going to work my way from south to north. It'll be in a counterclockwise manner as we go through this development. So the southernmost portion where it abuts the existing single-family residential subdivision in the area will be composed of more, what we would probably consider a little bit more villa-style, smaller lot, detached single-family. So the detached nature of the single-family homes would be consistent with the existing subdivision, but whereas the subdivisions to the south are more your traditional, little bit, well, I don't want to necessarily call them large lot, but they're more your standard suburban single-family residential lots. These are a little bit narrower. There are the 2 areas, the maroon bounded area here closest to Ward Road has a total of 43 lots, and in that area, they are looking at 50-foot wide lots, minimum standard. And in this kind of more a little bit cobalt color outline, they are looking at an area of 81 lots composed of minimum 60-foot wide lots. Overall, this detached single-family area on the south side has a density of about 3.1 units per acre. For comparison, a standard single-family residential subdivision, which would be R1 zoning, versus the RP1 that's proposed here. The subdivisions to the south have R1 zoning. The maximum allowable the maximum allowable density in a standard R1 zoning district is 4 units per acre. So this proposed density with these little bit narrower single-family detached lots would be about 1 unit per acre less than the maximum that's allowed in the existing zoning to the south. So in this particular area, the 50-foot wide pod area, there is a request for a modification, and the modification that's being requested has 2 components to the minimum lot size. One is that there is a modification requested to allow 50-foot wide lots, and the second being that they be allowed to have a minimum 6,500 square foot minimum lot area. Here you see the comparison that a standard RP1 lot would have a minimum 60-foot wide configuration and a minimum 6,600 square foot lot area. So what's being requested here is to allow for the smallest lot in this area to be allowed to have 100 square feet in lot area less and to be about 10 feet narrower than what the standard allowance would be in the RP1 zoning district. So what I'll do here is, well, no, I'll come back to that a little bit later. So working your way counterclockwise, the next area of detached single-family homes would be in this middle portion here, outlined kind of this apricot color. It's about 14 acres, it's 73 lots, and these are a little bit even further narrower lots. Here you're looking at a 40-foot wide lot area at a density of 5.4 units per acre. In that zoning district, the RP4 zoning district does make allowance for 12 units per acre. So they are requesting, what's being proposed is for density that's half of what would be allowed under that RP4 zoning district for non-apartment development. So within this middle area of RP4 zoning, there are 3 subsections for those that have not read the staff report. So first we've got here on the furthest east, on the easternmost portion, we've got single family detached, and now I'm going to move over to this middle portion here where they are proposing about 14 acres of townhomes. So these would be at the maximum 4-unit attached. There are a couple smaller ones with maybe 2 units, and I believe there might be a 3-unit in here. Yeah, there's another 3-unit here. In total, we're looking at 109 dwelling units at a density of 8.1 units per acre. Again, the maximum for non-apartment development under the RP4 zoning is 12 units per acre. So, we're looking at, they're at 75% of what the maximum would be allowed under that requested zoning district. So, somewhat similar to what was requested in that first pod, there is a minimum lot size modification that's requested specifically within the boundaries. So if you see here that the boundaries are a little bit larger, there are essentially 2 kind of components. There's 2 styles of townhomes. There's an inner block here that's a little bit tighter. It's a little denser, surrounded by a little bit more spacious lots, a little bit larger individual units. So for that middle portion here, there is a request to have an allowance of a minimum of 2,450 square feet in lot area per individual dwelling unit. So essentially what this means is that each individual lot, just for this middle section here that's outlined in red, they'd be looking at an individual lot size of about, I guess the math works out to about 8,400 square feet, I believe. 8,900 square feet, whereas a standard allowance would be in that zoning district would call for a 4-unit attached townhome to have 14,000 square foot for minimum lot area. So there is a request to have a little bit less than, or just about 1,000 square feet less in lot area calculated per individual dwelling unit. Now, this density here reflects, the product as shown here. So even with that reduction in lot size, you're still at only 75% of that maximum allowable density. So overall, and the way they've also oriented it here, where we'll say it's kind of buffered by the larger townhomes. So the smaller ones are kind of nestled inside this ring of larger townhomes that would be a little bit more consistent with what you would typically see. So the final residential component here that I'll talk about is associated with the preliminary development plan is what they're calling their active adult area. It's a little bit more than 26 acres, has a density of 5 units per acre, again, versus a maximum 12 units per acre. So it's less than half of the maximum allowable density for the RP4 zoning district. In total, all that are currently shown are 4-unit attached single-family units, totaling 132. I didn't point out necessarily some of the amenity areas, but this one does have an amenity area in the middle, has a clubhouse. I'm assuming these are more like pickleball courts, some dedicated parking in the vicinity of the clubhouse area. And then finally, at the hard corner of Ward and Hook, we're looking at 16 acres of commercial zoning. It's totaling about 66,000 square feet with the FAR, or floor area ratio, of 0.09. The standard CP2 zoning district allows a maximum of 0.55, so we're looking at about 20% of what would normally be allowed under that zoning district. Some of these elevations you've already gone through, so these aren't all of them. These are just typical, and the material palette isn't an exhaustive list of all the materials that are being proposed, but it does provide the flavor of what the materials are that are being proposed, which would be consistent with other residential projects that the applicant has done within the city, as well as those that are common to other developments across the city as well. So we're looking at materials such as brick, CMU, stone, fiber cement panel, nothing that we haven't seen in other area subdivisions. Similarly, with the commercial component, we're looking at quality materials as identified under our UDO, which compose, like I said, of brick, stone, EFA stucco, and wood composite, consistent with other commercial development across the city. The road improvements, the applicant's already gone through detail here. So just generally speaking, the road improvements are broken out into 2 phases. I won't go specifically into the details here because they've already been covered, and we can answer any specific questions that you may have. But generally speaking, there are going to be additional turn lane improvements along the Hook and Ward, updating some signal timing, possibly a little bit of widening at this intersection. And those improvements would apply, or similar improvements would apply between the Phase 1 residential and the future commercial component as well. So as it relates to the comprehensive plan, you can see here that this particular area is kind of at a transition point between different land use categories identified under the IGNITE plan. This kind of blue-green area just off the screen to the northeast is reflective of the activity center for South PRI property. It's kind of meshing with some other residential 1 and residential 2 zoning district, or residential land use categories. So this proposed development, with a combination of a little bit lower density residential, some more medium density residential, and commercial at that corner, is reflective of some of these transition points that were already anticipated in the IGNITE comprehensive plan when it was put together. The only specific piece that wasn't necessarily anticipated at the time would be that this plan does contain some commercial development here at that corner. But again, being that this development is at the intersection of two arterials, it's not unusual, especially along Ward Road, to have commercial development at strategic nodes along the arterial corridor. So this would be keeping in line with some of those existing conditions that would be more conducive to commercial development. So the third component that this application is bringing forth is for the conceptual development plan for 17 acres here in this magenta area. So in total, we're looking at 4 total buildings, 300 dwelling units, on-site detention, has an amenity area. And here's the typical kind of elevations for what that development could look like in the future. So just for everyone's understanding, this particular piece is a conceptual development plan. So conceptual development plans are plans that are, the zoning code makes allowances for at the very nascent stages of development where a developer has a notion for what future development might occur in that area. And at this stage, they are not seeking any entitlement, but rather in some ways looking for some direction to see whether or not the proposed development contained within the conceptual development plan is of a flavor that the Planning Commission and City Council could entertain under a separate future preliminary development plan. So with this conceptual development plan, if ultimately approved as part of this larger package, the developer is not guaranteed any entitlement to the development of apartments, so in other words, the Planning Commission and City Council reserves to itself the future ability to review a preliminary development plan and to make a decision at that point as to whether or not to approve or deny a future application. So one of the areas here that I highlighted here is that this conceptual development plan will require a separate consideration under future application, and we'll have to go through the entire neighborhood meeting process. We'll have to go through a separate public hearing process in front of the Planning Commission and City Council to receive final approval. So at this point, this would only be, in some ways, for lack of a better term, it might be considered a little bit more of a placeholder for future development to be considered when more detail is brought forth at some time in the future, be it by this specific applicant or some other developer. And just for everyone's reference, I specifically called out the portion of our Unified Development Ordinance that addresses consideration of conceptual development plans. And just, I guess I'll just read this portion here, that approval of a preliminary of a conceptual development plan does not constitute approval of a preliminary development plan for any phase shown on the conceptual development plan. Building permits cannot be issued for any development in a planned zoning district without getting preliminary development plan approval. Conceptual development plan approval comes before a preliminary development plan approval. So again, for everyone's edification, for any neighbors here that might have some questions or concern, whenever these 17 acres develop, if and when these 17 acres develop in the future, it will require a whole new round of meetings, neighborhood meetings, public hearings, which would all be public, and you would have the opportunity to provide feedback at that time. A neighborhood meeting was held on November 10th, and a number of topics, including just the characteristics of the development, road improvements, stormwater concerns, and just phasing and project timeline were discussed. Before you with this application, we are recommending a total of 6 conditions of approval associated with the plan in front of you. And again, just to kind of further cement the conceptual development plan, if you read under the second sentence under condition number 4, saying development of the apartment component shall be subject to separate preliminary development plan approval under future separate application. So with that, I'll yield to any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Soto. Before we move to questions for the staff or applicant, I'll start with Commissioner Benbrook on this. I want to ask a couple of questions real quick because I can't get a couple things out of my mind. First of all, with that conceptual plan, with the rezoning to RP4, if the developer sold the property, the zoning goes with that property, correct?
Once established, we'll say if established as RP4, if this application gets approved the way it is, this application would rezone that property, those 17 acres from ag to RP4. And unless some separate action is taken in the future to rezone it, once it's approved as RP4, it will stay that way unless someone at some point makes, again, a future application to amend that or change that.
Okay. And then I have one question for the applicant. I wanted to see a couple of slides. I liked your presentation. Yes,
Okay.
yes, you're the victim. One of them was, it's back in the beginning when you talk about the Ignite plan. I'd like to see a page there, and I don't know which page it was.
Okay.
Okay,
Let
let
me
me
know.
see. Okay, all right, I'm just going to read real quick.
Okay.
Okay, can you go to the next page?
Is it this one? There you go.
Okay, hold on, I want to make a note. Okay, that answered my questions for starters. I appreciate that.
Oh, yes.
And we will go ahead and start with Commissioner Benbrook if you have questions. We're doing questions first.
Yes, where do I start? Thank you, Chair. I'm going to start more macro. So let's talk about Hook. Who wants to answer questions about Hook from the staff? All right, so I got a couple questions regarding Hook. I know the applicant talked about people approaching this neighborhood for 150, which I do not believe is going to be the direct approach to this neighborhood. I believe it's going to be from 291 to Hook. I don't think people are going to go all the way to 150 and then circle back around. Is Hook going to continue to have an attachment to 291?
So Hook will eventually, there'll be an interchange at 291 and Hook, but it might not be Hook, it might be Shira Parkway. We haven't figured out how that all ties together, but if you look at the map, you can kind of see where a future interchange is planned to go. And whether that comes off as Hook and then ties into Shira Parkway, or whether it comes off as Shira Parkway and Hook ties into it. But either way, Hook will have a direct connection to 291 with maybe a slight bit of Shira Parkway.
Okay, is it going to be in the same location as it currently is?
Slightly to the north.
So closer to 291? Or
Shannon,
I'm sorry,
can I
further from
pull up
291?
Oh, sorry. Can you pull up Mapper? You can see exactly where it's at.
It's up there on the
Oh,
right-hand side.
okay. Yeah, that's exactly what I need.
Okay, so the upgrades, so what is the planned upgrade for Hook? I'm sure the city's been looking at this. I know the applicants talked about what is right in front of their property. They're talking about developing the south side, but what is the plan for Hook in general? And I guess, what is that? Is it Market that continues? So Hook Market, what's all that going to look like in 10 years, 20 years? Hopefully
Okay.
not 20 years. Let's
So-
say 5 years.
You can kind of see on the screen right now, you can see where the future interchange is going to go. All that right-of-way was acquired, I believe, when the 150 interchange went in. So you can see that might not be exactly what the interchange looks like, but it's going to be in that location. So somehow that'll tie into Hook. Shira Parkway will also peel off and kind of head to the northwest. We don't have any sort of plans or anything to upgrade Hook at this time. That's in the future, way beyond the 5-year CIP.
Okay. Thank you. That answers a lot. I guess the rest of these would be for the applicant. If we can go back to your presentation where you show all your neighborhoods and how many, the different zoning and all the lots, and actually that right there would be perfect. Thank you. How much of this is going to be for sale?
So Commissioner, that's a great question. Excuse me. So what's probably best is to go to the fuller detailed plan. So single-family pod A, B, and C is intended to be owner-occupied for sale. And then the active adult villas and townhomes, and then future apartment community would be for rent.
Okay.
That's the intention.
So pod A and B is in phase 1, pod C is in what you're calling future phase or phase 3, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
There we go.
So can you give me a promise on that it's going to be for sale? Right here on public record, a promise?
Well, it's our full intention is all these different lots that we're proposing to plat out. It is not envisioned to be for rent at this point. We firmly believe we've had tremendous demand interest from builders. They want to build in Lee Summit. There are no lots available.
I agree. Matter of fact, I would have loved to have seen a flip in the acreage and have 44 as rentals and 71 as residential for sale. And actually, I might have those numbers flipped, but it would have been nice to get a few more for sale. I know it's a growing development or growing area. I've got friends that live out there, so I know those lots will have no problem selling, which is great. Let me see. Okay. On the materials list, and I think this was staff, it was listed that in the residential area, you're going to use CMU, or that they've proposed CMU in the residential.
Well, it might have said CMU. It was more masonry. That may have been.
When I think of CMU, I think of the standard 8x16 garbage-looking stuff, and I'm hoping it was just a non-thought-through, assumed, kind of nicer. Yeah, there we go.
No, it meant to be more just general masonry.
A nice residential style masonry that we can all love and enjoy.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, you guys have knocked them out pretty quick. That is all I have for now. Thank you, Hector. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Tuzinski?
Just a couple of quick questions, one for you, Hector, and one for the proposer here. Can you quickly describe our unimproved road policy and what is the responsibility for that? I know we have asked the developer to come in and improve the road. They would only like to do half the road. They agree that's an important road to have. Why wouldn't they then escrow the other half if they're so inclined to enjoy that they believe that road's so important to do? Why not have the expense themselves and wait for someone else to do it? So if you could just quickly give me an idea of what the unimproved road policy does and what their responsibility is for that.
So the unimproved, and I'll have the traffic engineer correct me if I'm wrong. So the minimum requirement is for, granted, this is also, Hook Road is considered minor arterial. So of course the standards are for a minimum 12-foot, for an improved road, full urban standard would be a minimum 12-foot lanes, full curb and gutter. So in other developments in those areas where they're deficient, they would have to meet that minimum standard. Of course, Hook Road has a wider profile than that, but similar to all other development, public infrastructure is a responsibility of the developer to provide along the frontage and or any off-site areas in which they have a significant impact on. Were you looking for a little more detail, or is that?
Well, so what you're saying is because they're impacting this road, we're requiring them to improve the portion of it that's going to be part of their development.
Correct.
And by that, we don't mean just half of it. We mean the entire piece of it.
standard practice for development would be it would be the entire width of it.
Okay,
yes.
so how many, I mean, I'm sure you don't know this off the top of your head, but how many developers have we asked, because of the unimproved road policy, to do this, and how many times have we allowed them to only build half of it? Is this a standard thing that happens, or is this something that, this is a special situation where they would not like to improve?
Susan Berry, City Traffic Engineer. We regularly ask developers to improve to the full urban standard. A lot of times it will kill the project. So they don't come before you because they've died early on. There's been lots of times where they can be updated to the interim standard, but commercial, I think the way it's worded is commercial developments shall not be permitted on unimproved roads. So unimproved road, think very narrow, no shoulders. Interim standard, 12-foot lanes, two 12-foot lanes, two paved 6-foot shoulders. Our old interim standard was grass shoulders, and so, I mean, slightly different, but this policy dates back, I think, to 2011 and then updated in 2018, and this was the direction that City Council chose to go because it fit the character that they wanted from the city. They don't think that commercial developments fit on an unimproved road or even an interim standard. But no, I don't have any examples of when they've only been required to do half the road. There was one development came through a couple years ago, Colton's Crossing, that we required them to update to an interim standard, and that includes like redoing a bridge. So, I mean, it comes with cost. This area, unfortunately, does not have great infrastructure. So, first one in tends to get the biggest bill.
Mm-hmm.
And does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Just a couple quick continuing on this front. So there, as you can see on the board, their letter C, that's a future signal, that's a future access point. So, you know, we could have them build that access point fully, and then they could access their development off of that and not do any improvements off of the other road if they did not want to connect to it and have that brought in as part of a different phase. But on this, what they've proposed now is they want to, or we would like them to build up to the B, and then from there, they would transition back to the existing road, right?
Yes, that's correct. So it's a little confusing because the traffic impact study has 1A, 1B, and 2. The plans have 1, 2, and future.
Mm-hmm.
There's an exception in the unimproved road policy for single-family residential, up to when Hook Road would get to be 11,000 vehicles per day, which we're nowhere even close to. But apartments are considered commercial, and obviously the commercial corner. And so those improvements wouldn't be triggered until the commercial goes in on the corner. So yeah, if they choose to not build Legacy Commons Drive, I mean, the majority of the single family is accessed from Legacy Ridge.
And that's going to be their primary access point
Correct.
until the C or the Ward Legacy Drive gets
That's correct.
constructed. So, and then do we know what is in the city standards? What is Hook Road ultimately like? What is the
Classification?
classification? Yeah, of that road.
I think it's a minor arterial.
So that would be like a 2 lanes with a twiddle. I mean, it's like a 3-lane road, right? With
I mean, if
minor arterial.
the traffic study would show that a 2-lane with turn lanes would be adequate, we would do that. I mean, yeah, we wouldn't inflate it to a 4-lane road unless we needed to.
So ultimately, the answer to my question is we ask a lot of developers to do this kind of work. Like you said, if they can't do it because of funding, the project ends. But ultimately, that's their responsibility. If they would like to develop, it would be to improve that road to their access point and then transition back.
Prior to the commercial going in.
Prior to commercial going in.
Yes. So for phase 1A and 1B, they just need to maintain the interim standards. So they'll add an eastbound turn lane at Legacy Commons Drive. They can't just take the shoulder and turn it into a turn lane. They need to widen out and have a new shoulder next to the turn lane.
Okay. All right, so then thank you, Susan, appreciate that. And my other question for the developer, real quick. And you could continue with this graphic on the board. So what are the price points for the active adult villas? I guess it's spelled wrong there, but the townhomes and then the single-family pods here. What are the price points for each of those?
Yeah, we're preferring the Latin pronunciation of active,
That
clearly.
is-
Active, I don't know, but yeah, apologize for that typo. I appreciate you pointing that out.
Catholic grade schoolness, I guess, doesn't come in through it anymore.
But I do agree, it took us a while to digest the unimproved road policy. It's very confusing, or it can be. Staff has done a fantastic job of guiding us through that. I just want to point out that we are going to do all the improvements to Ward in this phase one, including turn lanes and improving that intersection, as well as up on B, we will do turn lanes. And then again, the only portion that we're respectfully requesting a little bit of deviation is the north side of Hook. We feel that with our traffic impact study, the results of that we are meeting and or exceeding and helping safety and traffic flow through there, while also creating a blank canvas for that north side when it further develops. We have heard from staff and others that there's been a number of commercial projects that have fallen apart because it just makes it project prohibitive. As we've gotten some pricing on just the north side of Hook, and it's more sizable than you would think you would realize, but we are still proposing interim improvements, 12-foot lane, 6-foot shoulder. That's why I say we're providing the traffic safety flow movement through while also creating that blank canvas. I hope I answered all your questions. I think there might have been one at the end. Oh, price point on the Active.
But before you get to that, though, but I think you're just making my point. If that part north of Hook Road is going to be hard to develop, that may not happen for a long time.
Yeah, it's hard to explain, and staff could probably explain further the way the watersheds act here. Anything flowing to the north goes into a watershed where sewer is going to take across 291 over by Shamrock Golf Course. Sure. That amount of distance to get sewers to that area is not going to happen anytime soon, unless or if the city would be a more proactive approach and do some type of their own sewer improvements.
And that's why I would rather not see a road half built for a significant amount of time. We know with I guess it's the Shear Road Parkway potential project, that's going to bring a lot of development, a lot of opportunities in here. And I just, when that starts occurring, and developers are going to be paying for a lot of that. So I really don't want to set any kind of precedence where we go and allow half to be built and other developers are going to be paying for all. And then, and I think it's just fair to the whole bit there. So that'll be get into our comments later, but those are my questions. But the question is about the price point, though. I still would like to
Sure, yes. So I'm not fully aware of where our leases are coming in at in our Reunion product, very similar in our Blackwell project. Mr. Lovelace could probably answer that better, but I'm going to say I believe it's $2,400 to $2,600 to $2,800 a month, give or take, somewhere around there. So this is no low-level Section 8 housing. This is very much downsizers like myself who either want to come closer to where their kids have moved to, which Lee's Summit's a highly desirable community, and or want to downsize, not to maintain yard, mature trees, 3-story houses. So we're finding that's been very successful in Lee Summit.
And Hector, for you, with those price points, are we still hitting that missing middle? I know that's concern for some people we have on the board and some others, but are we still hitting the missing middle with those price points at that point? Is there a coordination between that?
Well, I guess what I'll say is that in the Ignite plan, it doesn't really speak to when it speaks to missing middle, it's more talks about more housing typologies as opposed to price points.
Okay.
Now, we do touch upon in our Ignite plan, identify, and we're constantly pulling data regarding affordability, what percentage of income goes toward your housing costs and utility costs, but that part isn't necessarily covered under the policies that we currently have now.
Perfect. Thank you. That's all my questions.
I'm sorry, but the applicant brought up something, and I'd like to piggyback a question on it. He talked about Section 8 housing. I got a question in general, since he made that comment, and I'm sorry if I cut in line. So this would be to staff, Right. I know in our UDO, nothing dictates the amount of subsidized housing, right? Do we as a body have the ability to limit percentages of, let's say, a rental community to have a limit on federal subsidized housing?
I will say that absolutely not. That runs into fair housing standards, and we could violate federal laws by doing that and get us in a lot of trouble.
Okay. So is there anything in zoning or UDO or anything that could regulate that at all? Or does it all come down to federal Housing Fair Act or that we're
be correct. So
adherent
the Planning Commission's purview is land use, not ownership or occupancy type in the sense of how they're paying their mortgage or their rent. So we really need to focus on the land use aspect of it as opposed to ownership.
Perfect. Thank you for the explanation. Thank you for letting me jump in line.
Commissioner Jana Ford.
Thank you, Chair. I think I'd like to start with you, Mr. Tapp.
Get my steps in tonight.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
So, let's see. I doodled on my paper here. Let me start with something that I like to talk about. It's trash. So can we go to the overall development plan where you've got the commercial, the townhomes, the active?
Do you want to go there, or did?
This is perfect.
Okay.
So I know this is very high-level preliminary, but considering that you just indicated that the active villas and the townhomes are going to be rent-driven, that's how they're going to be run. Now, some townhomes and villas, trash is included, or they're treated like you have to buy your own trash service, et cetera. What's the intent here? Are you providing a trash service for them?
As far as I'm aware, we will adhere to the city's requirements. So each unit will have their own bins and be part of the overall system.
Okay, so no trash enclosure or anything like that?
No,
Okay.
not intended there.
I was just trying to understand the flow, so that makes sense.
And it can be a big issue, I agree.
And so let's talk about the amenities while we have this up. So the Active Villas has their own amenity. I see another amenity down just west of Windermere Drive. Who is accessing that specific one?
Great question. I did want to bring that up. I'm happy that you brought it up. So again, the Asset V adult villas will have their own amenity plaza, complete with a full clubhouse, outdoor amenities. As we're showing here, a couple pickleball courts that kind of makes sense, giving the target audience, as well as an open area to entertain and just to sit down, relax, be around a fire pit, that type of thing. And then the amenity plaza to the east on Legacy Ridge Drive, as you go out left to right from your screen, that will be a full-scale, massive amenity with clubhouse, pool, some other outdoor amenities to be determined based on market conditions, but that will be utilized by the single-family pods, A, B, and C, as well as the townhome community.
Okay, so townhomes aren't left out.
Correct.
Okay. So now let's touch on the single-family pod C. It kind of touches on phasing a little bit. You've got like a band that goes from east-west. I know you mentioned that the excuse me, other half of Pod C would be a future phase, TBD, no anticipated time. I guess I'm trying to formulate this question in a way of why cut that in half? And it's going to tie to my next question, so it's a twofold question.
Okay, yes.
You've got different pods of active villas and townhomes, and then you're separating Pod C from Pod A and B. Can you talk to me a little bit about the process of both the phasing and the location of the Pod C?
Definitely, I would love to. So for single-family Pod C, our intent, our desire would be to do it on one phase, but because of fire code requirements and their interpretation of the fire code having to have 2 points of access, Windermere would have to go in beyond 50 units. That's why you see, I think it's 47, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but 46, 47 units of that first phase of single-family Pod C.
Okay, so then that would explain why Windermere is part of the phase two. So when the future phase happens, Windermere is going to be married to that?
Yes.
Okay. And then the location?
Location of single-family Pod C? So that was strategic and looking and evaluating at the comprehensive, again, master plan look of things. We wanted to honor the single family existing to the south, so we didn't want to put in the 40-foot wide lots there. we want to embed it in the interior portion of the development so that it is its own entity, basically.
Okay. And then, so disregarding the apartment community, Active Villas, the only elevation that I'm seeing is 2-story. No, sorry, Villas 1-story, townhomes there's 2, and then it
Yes.
drops down, back down. What is that height difference?
Between the 2-story and single-story?
Yeah.
That's a great question. Single-story, because of the target audience of active adults, there'll be a little bit taller ceilings, and with the pitched roof, my guess is probably about 18, 20 feet tall, something like that. I'm not really sure on the single-story, to be honest with you. And then the 2-story will be more standard ceiling height, so we're probably looking at 26 feet, give or take, 28 feet with the pitch of the roof.
Okay.
And it might be off, but it's around there.
And so the site slopes from west to east, is that right? With north being, like the northeast being the lowest point?
Yes.
Okay, so then.
Water towers are always a good indication of high points.
Well, that's kind of what I was assuming.
Yes.
But I guess the question I'm asking is, if you're driving both north and south on Ward Road, there's not many high buildings up there, so I'm just trying to maintain a level of similarity across that way. And so I was just curious if you had any kind of like elevation or section kind of indicating the slope and how the two relates to the 1-story.
Sure. And I also wanted to point out that generally collector streets like Legacy Ridge Drive, Legacy Commons Drive, the north-south, and then Windsong as well, they tend to follow high ridge lines. So that kind of gives you an idea of where the high points are. So if you take those are the high points, and then the ground naturally grades down to where the water feature that Hector was showing on the apartment community, that'd be the low part of that property. And then the commercial, it slopes high, water tower, and slopes down. We're going to step it down west to Ward. So to answer your question on height, that's kind of a reason why we did single-story active adult villas, and then the 2-story townhomes kind of falls off that ridge line and goes into a new watershed area. The apartments, again, to echo what Hector and I were saying, is that that's for a future phase, for a future conversation of height and density. The concept plan we presented was high level. Here's what we think could happen there, but that's certainly not what we're going to be married to, or say we definitely are going to do this, because we do not see the demand for apartments within that kind of 2-year cycle of PDP and FDP approval. So it's definitely a future to be considered phase.
Okay.
I hope I answered your questions.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good.
I guess I have one more question for you. Phase 2, it doesn't have a time anticipation, does it? Or it does?
No, as it's shown, it'll be phase 1 completion. There might be some overlap when phase 2 commences, but that's the general commencement or the structure of it. But general timelines, we don't really have set, number of months or anything like that tied to it.
Okay. I think I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have more questions for you, Mr. Soto. Sorry, I have whatever bug is going around. So I want to talk about phasing a little bit. I guess, is it common to have this big development and then separate it out into different phases, understandably so, but have a future phase that is purely market-driven? I guess maybe I'm asking in a way that's saying, can we just focus on phase 1 and phase 2 for this PDP and then have the remainder of the future phase as a separate preliminary development plan? Is that something that's common, or?
It's not really common. In this case, the apartment piece, just speaking to the area in purple here, the apartment piece, yes, and the fact that the application that specifically came in for that piece was a conceptual development plan. For the rest of it, they've just identified phasing as future, not knowing what the market will ultimately drive, but it would be unusual to kind of, if I'm following where you're asking about where you could head with this in terms of a recommendation, that would be unusual, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I was just kind of curious, knowing that we want to be very strategic with our development, trying to focus on what we know, and then what could be addressed later is kind of where I was asking if that's something.
So the part that I would say is, in a case like this where all of the information required of a preliminary development plan, which we know what the elevations are like, we know what the dimensions are, we have information regarding the provision of utilities to address the non-apartment purple areas, future areas. We have the detail where we're at the situation where you were just looking at a 30,000 foot high level view like the apartments, where we're just saying, well, we have an idea that apartments could go here. Well, here they know what they want to do, the product, and they've done the necessary legwork on the infrastructure to know how to provide service to it. It is a known quantity. It's just a matter of kind of like when it's going to happen.
Okay. I guess perhaps the other half of Pod C being in future phase, in addition to the commercial apartment, are kind of throwing me off a little bit.
No, yeah, understandably.
It seems like apartment should be a different color or something.
Yeah, like I could see that, yes.
And then I guess this is just another clarification for me. So RP4, reason why Pod C is RP4 and not RP1 is just because it's a higher density housing style, specifically single family?
It's really more driven by the fact of trying to provide, aligning the characteristics of the lots with that of the zoning district. So like I pointed out in my presentation, so the minimum lot size, let's say for an RP1 is 60 foot. Here in the Pod C, they're looking at 40 feet.
Okay.
So it's a significant jump, versus like 50 feet like in Pod A. It's like, well, we're only talking about a 10-foot difference. Could you hypothetically make Pod C RP1? You could. You could hypothetically do that, but then you'd have to accompany it with modifications to the minimum lot size and the lot. And it just makes it a little bit cleaner to make it fit under the RP4 zoning that already has allowances for single family, detached single family at a smaller lot scale. So you could have gotten there both ways. One's just a little bit cleaner than the other, and that we chose to go with the cleaner RP4 versus the RP1.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
Excuse me, can I jump in? I have a question related
Everyone's
to.
cutting me today.
I know. Oh, I'm so sorry. But I do appreciate you. My question is related to the zoning and kind of the thought behind why RP4 for this area when we have RP3 that is this, basically. Can you talk about that a little, about why wouldn't we go with RP3 for this sections?
We could have also done RP3.
I mean, did you guys talk about it, I guess?
Yes.
Figured you did, but I'm curious behind your thought process.
Right, so it was a little bit kind of along the lines of what I just mentioned, in that we provided the option to the developer to go with RP3, to reserve like the RP4, let's say, for the active adult area, the townhomes, and the apartment, and then go RP3 or RP4 on the other one. Again, it kind of comes down to a little bit more of the desire to have a little bit more uniformity in the zoning, by the preference by the applicant to have a little more uniformity in there, and also just to minimize the minimum standards and not require any modifications. So again, you could have gotten there with that RP3 zoning, but the applicant decided to move forward with RP4.
Sorry, I turned my mic off because I was listening. Yeah, I still am just curious about, like, I feel like RP3, RP2, there are other options. We're already setting a precedent by breaking up this, PMIX. That's what PMIX is for. And I honestly appreciate the fact that you guys have done the due diligence around breaking this up. I'm just trying to get my head around why RP4 for this whole section when clearly it could be RP3 or RP2. So can you talk through that and help us understand? I know what RP4 is, right? We know it's our apartment, we know, and this is well below that. I mean, we have attached housing here in the villas and the townhomes. the single family I get, I'm really kind of referencing, because we're really trying to get to that middle housing. This is middle housing. We need this. We actually need for sale adult villas. I can reserve some of my comments for later. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that, Chair. But like, can you talk about RP3 and like what that means and RP2, just so we understand kind of why we're at RP4?
Okay, so, and I'll also address the apartment piece as part of my answer here. So even at the pre-application stage for this, we look at, for this project or any project, doesn't matter. Of course, we try to line up, we absorb what it is that the applicant is looking to do. Here, there's a mix of housing ranges, 40, 50, 60-foot wide lot, detached single homes, attached residential being in the form of an apartment, townhomes, or what do we call them, just attached single family. So then we start kind of looking at what our zoning districts allow. And this is something I meant to touch on. So with the RP4, the title of it is planned apartment. Now, one of the things that I'm sure probably could cause a little bit of confusion or concern from anyone in the public, and maybe some of you up on the dais, is that the RP4 zoning district, for example, doesn't mandate apartment. So when it comes to the residential zoning district titles, the titles are associated with, it just so happens, it's associated with the highest or most intense allowable residential type that's allowed. So even though this request is for RP4 zoning, if you look at our land use table, under that RP4 zoning, even though it says planned apartment, detached single-family home is allowed use by right. Smaller lot, detached single-family, townhomes, fourplexes, triplexes, fourplexes are all allowed under that umbrella. So it's kind of an umbrella title that captures a number of zoning districts. It's not just reserved specifically for apartments. If that starts to...
Thank you. I think I appreciate that detail, because, I mean, it actually is just saying it's more restrictive than PMIX. We're saying, honestly, it's worth a conversation in the future just about the title of the zoning. But I appreciate your explanation. I think that helps me understand that a little more, and that we are trying not to parse out every single phase and parcel, which I think is what Commissioner Jana Ford was trying to get at. So thank you for letting me interrupt you. Sorry, I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, hypothetically, yes, we could have done more of like a checkerboard approach, but then there's a point at which, not that aesthetics matter when a zoning map really, but there's a point at which it kind of looks a little too checkerboardy, and this provides, again, that umbrella zoning district under which all of the zoning or the housing typologies that are presented in front of you fit under. And again, just for everyone's assurance, even though the label may say planned apartment, if this plan is approved the way it's shown here, the title of apartment doesn't say doesn't make it a free-for-all by the developer to say, well, yeah, I showed single family here, but it's zoned RP4. RP4 says I could do apartments, so I'm going to do apartments. Like, well, no, you're ultimately tied to whatever plan is specifically approved. So even if you called this RP4 and it was all single family detached, you're stuck. You're stuck. You can only build single family detached unless they were to make a separate application in the future to bring forth a change to the plan to something different. So this is what they're married to if approved. So I hope I didn't over-explain that.
No, I think that was a really great explanation. So I'm going to say what I think, and you're going to say yes or no.
Okay.
Just so I understand,
Sure.
too. So the Pod C in purple and the Pod A and B in green, they're future, yes. But what we see now, we're not going to see it come back because this is what they're going to do.
Correct.
Okay. So there's no ambiguity at all.
No.
Okay. I think that reassures my thoughts on the zoning a little bit. And I'll reserve comments for later. And the last question for you is, are we, with each application that gets approved and then does get developed, is the percentage of that missing middle updated that we can back check and kind of see if this fits within the numbers and metrics?
We do. We typically don't do that in a real sense until the point that building permits are issued. Because, again,
Anything can happen.
yeah, we have many projects that come through this process, get approved, never get built, or there are changes made to it, so some of those numbers may change. So once the point that building permits are issued, buildings start going up, we reflect accurately what that mix is.
So based on what you know and like the metrics you're following, this seems to fit within the metrics, doesn't blow anything, doesn't exceed a capacity that we're aiming for?
No.
Okay. No. Thank you, that's all, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Grono?
I don't have any questions for you. Everyone did a great job. I do have a question. Back to traffic. I'm sorry. So just because we've been talking about the roads and how they're all going to be phased, what happens if the roads that are going to be put in place during phase 2, that traffic, somehow starts generating itself before the phase 2 roads are built?
Are you talking about the green phase 2 on the screen you're looking at now?
Yes,
Okay.
let's go there.
The way our improvements are written in our TIA, phase 1 and phase 1A and 1B are considered phase 1 improvements in the TIA. And so all improvements for both 1A and 1B will be required before anything starts on 1A or 1B.
Thank you. And then the one thing we haven't talked about is probably for Public Works about the detention basins. Is that you too? No. Water basins?
Sue, and she had to run to the restroom.
Perfect timing, didn't I? So why don't we wait for her to come back and you guys can move on? That was my only other question. Everything else has been addressed.
Commissioner Tuzinski?
Yes, one more quick question. Hector, if you could, I just want to make one clarification. So number 6 on our recommendation, number 6 is the items for, I think for conditions of recommendations, number 6. Does that mean what was in our report under the road improvement section? Is that what, this transportation impact analysis conducted by staff, is that this section in the staff report?
Yes, so the traffic impact analysis is what staff reviews. So the process is they're reviewing the traffic impact study provided by the applicant, and then we do our internal write-up, and as part of that, there are the list of, I forget how many specific road improvements. So that condition ties back to the memo or the form that staff filled out outlining those required road improvements tied to each individual phase.
Okay, so where it says phase 2 and that number 1, where it says staff is not supportive of a modified urban standard proposed by the developer, that means they're required to do what we tell them to do, and there hasn't been a request for that to not.
Correct.
Perfect. So if we approve this, and number 6 included, they'll have to build what's said in there, which is the full template.
Yes, our recommendation is to build it the way everyone always has. They're asking otherwise, but it's written to accomplish what you're saying, yes.
Right. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Commissioner Grono?
Can we talk about the detention basins, water basins, real quick?
Sure.
Yes. So these are currently managed by the city, and the plan is to transition them over to the HOA.
Yes, that is correct, although they won't be transitioned in exactly the same configuration they are right now. Sue Piles, Development Engineering Manager. The applicant will be required to design and construct 2 detention basins that meet our current requirements. They may have to reconstruct all of that basin. Each basin, they may only have to modify it slightly. I don't know exactly what the basins how they match up to what the proposed detention basin will be, but it'll be their responsibility to fully bring it up to current standards as if there was no basin there now and they were coming into a greenfield situation of building basins.
Perfect. And then is this something that we normally do with these types of developments? Like we transition them over to the HOA? Do we have other examples of this?
No, this is very rare.
Okay.
These were put into, it's my understanding that these were put in previously to help alleviate some drainage problems that were existing that would then be kind of taken care of by future development by coming in and doing a comprehensive study.
That was my only questions regarding that, so thank you.
Okay, absolutely.
All right, I'm good, Chair. Thanks.
Commissioner Trafton?
It's my turn in the reel, and you can interrupt me if you'd like, so. Actually, commissioners have done a really good job of asking a lot of my questions. This is for the developer. Thank you, Mr. Tapp. So the architecture on all the buildings, is that four-sided or is that?
We are going to be in conformance with all the architectural standards for the city. So generally, the active adult and the townhomes will have architecture, and then the single-family homes are just consistent with the city standards.
So, not really. Okay. And then, thank you. And then the other question I have is related to, no, it's for you still, sorry. I just want to get you back up here. On the adult villas, I mean, this product is a hot product that we need in Lee Summit. Like, we need more of this everywhere. And I can out myself, I guess. I could qualify for this housing, but, at this current time, I just, like, I know you guys have run the numbers. Like, why aren't we selling this product versus rental?
So if I can
answer. Because
answer
it's 4 units per building, or I know it gets a little hairy around that, but it's done all over the place. We sell that stuff all over. Mm-hmm. So I'm just curious.
That's actually a great point. The growing downsizing portion of the demographic profile for America is getting stronger. I call it the bookends. So these huge generations of downsizers and the millennials that can't qualify for any house known demand right now. So again, there's a housing affordability crisis across the nation. But to answer your original question, our townhomes will be 4-sided architecture in accordance with the city standards. I'm going to be very clear on the townhome products.
Okay.
And the single family, again, for sale, we're going to adhere to all the city standards that they require for architecture. But to answer your question on the active adult townhomes, when you look at for rent versus for sale, those are completely different approaches to development, to the cycle of development, construction, and then turnover. So it'd be a whole different way of looking at it. We have not explored for sale there. There may be a market demand for sale of an active adult, but we feel that in this area that a quality for rent active adult community is in high demand.
Okay, so you guys did the analysis. You feel like it's a different product than this 4 units per building. I mean, normally you do see for sale in a like 2-sided attached homes or something like that. But you still see it in 4 and up to 6 in a building. So I know it's possible. I mean, obviously that you can buy apartments and they're condos. It's just a different approach.
Yes.
So, I mean, I think you've answered my question though, so thank you.
But no, it's a very accurate question and observation. If you look at the Osage project down at 150 and Pryor, one of the fastest trajectory selling subdivisions in entire Lee Summit and metro area, that was single family for sale. I call it shared wall, but 2 to 4 unit for sale, because you can get that price down enough to where it makes it more attainable for a wider path or a swath of audience.
Yep. I agree. So thank you, sir.
And we are exploring that elsewhere, so just keep that in mind too. So, yes.
Well, yeah, I'll reserve my comments for later, but thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Trafton. All of a sudden, Commissioner Frazier, all of a sudden I forgot your last name. Sorry.
I appreciate all of the questions, clarifications that have come up until this point. So I just have a couple of others. And to add on to Commissioner Trafton's questions or point, we hear adult active all the time, and I need an operational definition of what that is. And to follow up with that, we are speaking to addressing the missing middle, and I've not heard an operational definition of that either. Where I'm going with this is, I believe in our packet and the documentation, it speaks to, and of course it's dependent on market conditions, that the price of some of these was anywhere between $350,000 to $500,000 for the single, I'm assuming the single family units. I guess the question is it your experience that those address the middle, the missing middle question I had? And again, following up on that is, Mr. Soto, you spoke to that the apartments was the highest level in the purple area that they could come back to. Does that mean potentially they could come back with active adult units in that area as well instead of the apartments? Sorry, I know that was like 4 questions in one, but.
No, you're perfectly fine.
I'm an active adult, I think.
So again, so specific to the area that's called apartments, 17 acres. So the short answer to your question is, yes, they can come back with a different product. So any action that's taken on the conceptual development plan,
They have to come back to us.
they have to
and-
come through. So
Got
it doesn't tie the developer specifically to say this. It gives, still allow, all it does is going to establish a zoning district classification over the piece of property. And then at some future point, whether they are ready to move forward with some product, be it apartment, maybe their detached single family
Exactly. Okay.
does really well, they can come forward. It'll just require preliminary development plan approval at that time.
Okay, thank you. And this is a traffic study regarding the light. So at, I think it was C, where there's a proposed, I think it's at Legacy Ridge and Ward.
I don't know where that's at, but I will just
Well,
use,
there was
I'll use
and
this
I
one.
believe that's a right in, right out with the light. My question, yes.
Right here?
Yes. There's for future development, there's a light proposed there. But on the other side of, I mean, because that's headed north, so therefore I think that's why it's right in and right out. I'm just going to say we've driven down, I mean, the school is less than a mile or whatnot to the north. Is there any proposal, or would they look at this in the future to open that, I'm going to say that island, that intersection up?
No.
So that it, because I think on the other, okay, thank you. Because I think on the other side, there are single-family homes or.
Just the opposite, actually.
Okay.
When that signal goes in, the median will close everything except for that intersection.
Okay.
And then we've put a condition in that the developer needs to look at allowing U-turns at that signal to kind of allow access to those single-family homes.
Okay.
That's kind of how we're addressing that. But having that median makes it so much safer, especially as traffic starts to increase.
Got it. Thank you. I think everyone else addressed, sorry, Susan. One other question. So did I understand you when you said that Hook would not be inflated to a 4-lane under 11,000 cars, traffic?
So the unimproved road policy has an exception for single-family residential.
Okay.
Or, it's not just single-family, but it's residential as opposed to apartments or commercial. That the road can handle up to 11,000 in an interim standard. So until they hit that 11,000, the 12-foot lanes, 6-foot paved shoulders is acceptable.
Okay, all right.
That exception was put in the unimproved road policy to try to encourage single-family construction without putting too much of a burden on the developers.
Okay, perfect, thank you. I think that's it, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Frazier.
The most recent housing study that was done was for the apartments, and that was updated in 2021 or 18?
So we update our housing numbers with regards to those percentages on a monthly basis based on issued building permits. So current for 2025, end of December, those housing numbers have been updated to is 15%. So we're low on that.
So that's what I'm trying to figure out. So
Can I ask Shannon a question regarding that? That's on permitted, correct?
Those are on permitted, that's not on entitled. So if we start adding entitled projects but not built, we would have to not only add in entitled multifamily, but as well as all entitled single-family lots that are out there entitled, haven't been platted and haven't been built yet. Those numbers on the single-family side are very difficult. We'd have to go back and do a lot of legwork on because they follow R1 type housing follows a different procedure for approval than, say, multifamily. So
I think the issue is, though, if we've approved them, those are on the books as an obligation. Some have incentives attached that it's outside our purview, but there's obligation there, and that's where it becomes. And if you're running a business, you're wanting to know what's going to happen in the future, and you take that into account, and
Right.
that's kind of that's exactly the perspective I take.
on the multifamily side, yes, there's some out there that have been gone through the preliminary development plan process and have been approved. On the single-family side, if we're going to add in the approved PDPs for multifamily, we need to add into the approved single family as well to balance that without skewing those numbers one way or the other. So it's a holistic approach. I don't have those numbers in front of me.
Okay. I mean, I think we should have it apples and apples on everything, and especially that missing middle that when you look at the raw numbers, you can tell it hasn't really moved. I know that's more comment, but I just wanted to say that to clarify.
Thank you for interjecting, because that's exactly my point, is because we're up here to listen to planners and applicants, the city and the staff, and we have to recommend to the city council if we approve moving forward with a certain project or not. And from us, or me, I'm speaking for myself, my edification is to make sure that I know where we're at as far as the comprehensive plan. So if we have a comprehensive plan of 65% of the single family, 20% of the medium density, and 15% of high density, where are we at? Okay, and so if an applicant comes up here and says, we want single family homes, or we want apartments, or we want mid-level, where are we at? So that's where I would like to know, real time, so we all have up here an accurate percentage so we can recommend
And
appropriately.
the numbers I gave you, the real time, what is under construction and what is occupied and built now.
Occupied and built. Okay, so those are the numbers that we as commission should go off of.
Yeah, because oftentimes there's many projects, PDPs that go through the entitlement process that never get built. A good example for multifamily to be Staggs Ridge. That was approved many years ago.
Correct.
It hasn't been built yet.
And
Not sure
and those
it will be
permits, it's very expensive, like 19 grand to get those building permits, correct? Isn't it very expensive? So
Typically, you can, to run through the entitlement process, depending on the size of the project, it could be thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars to get through that entitlement process.
What about Discovery Park? It's being constructed. There's apartments currently being constructed, so given that, they're not included in that count, but they're going to be permitted.
They are, are you saying the ones that are not under current
The
construction?
ones that are currently under construction.
Under construction, they have been permitted, they are in this count.
Okay. All right, that's what.
Yeah, so I apologize. When you said study, I thought you were referring to the apartment study to see where
I'm
we were
talking about,
relative to, okay.
the housing study that
You're talking about
identifies
the inventory.
single- Yeah, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, that's my fault, sorry.
No, it's probably, I asked it incorrectly. So where are we with single family right now, percentage-wise?
Percentage-wise, we are at 67.8.
So we're at 67.8. I think the applicant mentioned 72, did he not?
That was when the comp plan was adopted in 2021. So
Okay.
as we build more single-family and as we build more middle, or residential 1, residential 2,
Sure.
those numbers fluctuate.
Understood.
And so we track those numbers on a monthly basis based on building permits.
So as current, we're over single family right now by 2%, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not static, so.
We're no longer as lopsided as we
Right.
once were.
Okay, I'm just trying to gain an understanding for my own edification, so my apologies. And as far as the medium density, it's 20% is the goal for the comprehensive plan. Where are we at now?
We're just under 22. We're at 21.8.
Okay,
Yes.
so 22,
Yeah,
which is over the comp plan.
just a little over.
Okay, so we're over in single, we're over in medium. Now, where are we for the high density?
We're at 10.4
So we're
versus 15.
10.4?
Yes.
Okay, so is what you're saying, with our data, we need more high density in Lee Summit? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and specifically the residential 3 where we're low on, that's actually more specific to consider high-rise apartments.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I just want to make sure that we're all speaking on the same data.
Yeah.
And we don't find it somewhere in the cloud somewhere.
Right.
So we're over in a single family, we're over in the middle and low in the high rises, apartments.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure I understood it. Let me see. UDO, approval conditions. That's all I have right now. Thank you.
Okay, I think we're going to take a recess before we do public questions and comments. I was going to say, has anybody filled out a form? Or, okay, so we do have some. So, and then when we get back, if you're planning to speak, we'll ask again to make sure everybody's been sworn in. So we're going to take a 10-minute recess and we will be back.
Ever wondered how the city budget works? The total 2026 budget is over $380 million, which includes funding for daily operations, capital improvements, debt service, internal service, and enterprise operations. For example, the general fund is the foundation for the city's day-to-day services and investments like road maintenance, public safety, and fire protection. The general fund is supported by property taxes, sales taxes generated by local businesses, franchise taxes, and other sources like licenses, permits, and fees. For every dollar citizens pay in property tax, the city receives 18 cents. This means the city receives $845 a year in property taxes for a median single-family house. These taxes provide public safety, park maintenance, infrastructure, and the best services to keep Lee Summit going and improving. One of the community's top priorities is infrastructure investment, which is reflected in the Capital Improvement Plan. $113 million of the 2026 budget is invested into the Capital Improvement Plan. The 2026 Capital Improvement budget includes investments like the 291 and 50 Highway Interchange, 3rd Street, Ward and Purcell's intersection, and Pryor Road. The budget process includes guidance from the City Council, citizen input, and critical success factors from the city's Ignite strategic plan. To learn more about the city's budget, visit cityofls.net/budget.
When the person called on the phone, she said that there was a dinosaur walking down her road. Of course, we had to go out and check that out. We get out there, and it was a big African tortoise, probably 60 pounds, walking down the road. When they walk, they really stand up tall, so I could see why she thought it was a dinosaur. I'm Rodney Wagner. I'm the manager of Lee Summit Animal Control. So as you can see, we get all sorts of animals here. You got some guinea pigs off to the side. All the windows up here are animals that are adoptable right now. Every one of these dogs is ready to go and ready for adoption. And the same thing with our cats over here. A lot of cool cats in here now, so this is our 3-acre lot we have out back. This is where we do all the walking of dogs, exercise. We also have a side yard off the side over there, so we can let them run loose. They can run together, and we have what's called play groups. Kind of like having a bunch of kids. Here's our vet room. We have a vet that comes out twice a week. This is our Sally Port where we bring the animals into. This is one of our animal control trucks, and we can hold up to 6 animals. We have a lift on the other side to put big animals in. We actually have temperature gauges in here and in the truck to tell us how hot it is. Once it gets to a certain temperature, we bring all the animals back here immediately. So this actually has traps in it, but we do a lot of wildlife trapping. I mean, a lot. So bats, potbelly pigs, horses, cows, emus, a lot of reptiles. We had a citizen one time that had over 200 reptiles in his basement. Caimans and alligators in here that are 4 or 5 feet long. You can't keep those. And people do, and they're surprised when they can't keep them. I'm like, really? You're surprised you can't have an alligator in your house? Our main goal here is public safety and also the safety of the animals. And we have very dedicated people back there, and they definitely stay here for the love of the animals, which also includes getting them adopted out. We'll have about 4,000 impounded animals a year. Probably about close to 2,000 are dogs and cats. The cats and dogs, when they get impounded here, they go on a 5-day hold. And then after the 5 days, if the owner doesn't show up, then we can put them up for adoption. To adopt an animal here is actually really simple. You just come in, look for whatever animal you're looking for, find the right pick. You go to the adoption room up there and see if you get along with them. You spend as much time as you want to in there. From that point on, it's just a matter of making sure they're spay or neutered and all their vaccinations up to par and they're good to go. We have a very high adoption rate because we try everything in our power to get animals adopted out. We have Heart of America, a Humane Society that we do a lot of adoptions through. And then we also have other groups. We have some people that literally will just look all over the country for somewhere for a dog to go. And we sent dogs up into South Dakota, North Dakota, Washington State. So it's actually, it's a huge united effort to get all these animals home.
Tarzan's got lots of energy. Hazel's got a weird meow. Belle, she wants nothing to do with the other cats. She'll kind of get her grumpy face going.
And the good thing about the people here is that they get all their friends to get animals too. All of us have probably the limit of all the animals that we can have at home. You know, they are huge animal lovers. If it was up to the people here, we'd have 15 cats running around in here. We had a citizen one time out there and he was bathing his 2 9-foot-long boa constrictors in the front yard. Apparently that was garnering some attention, and so we went out there and had to have a talk with him about that. Why do I do this job? Oh, dude, I love this job. I grew up on a farm, and taking care of that many animals, you can't help but like animals. This is just like fancy farming. You know, you're just bringing animals in here, taking care of them, and find them homes, and yeah, absolutely animal lover.
This is the best place to work.
I love working here. I feel very blessed. I love it here. I look forward to coming to work every day, being a part of this team.
Like a family away from home.
Where everyone feels like everybody knows their name.
A city that supports you. We see that with our benefits.
A pension, vacation days, job security.
Being able to be heard.
We feel valued. We feel respected.
Lee Summit is a very progressive city.
It's growing, it's thriving.
We have this drive towards not just doing a job, but doing it with a spirit of excellence.
I had the opportunity to continue to grow, regardless of 30 plus years doing this kind of work.
It's more than just dollars and cents.
We're here really to give back.
Providing a service to better a community.
To go out and serve people.
To be a part of something bigger than yourself. If I would have known what I know now, years ago, I would have been here much sooner.
Traditionally, we think as police officers, those responding to law enforcement needs within the community. But honestly, we are there to serve our citizens, and our citizens do go into crisis. They do have mental health crises, and we're being called to those scenes on a regular basis. In order to help serve those citizens better, we did initiate the Crisis Intervention Team Program. These are officers that are specially trained to de-escalate crisis situations. Recently, we've brought co-responders onto the scene, licensed qualified mental health professionals housed within our police department, and they respond with those officers directly to those scenes where a crisis is occurring so they can interact with that citizen and get them the help they need right there on that scene.
The co-responders are either bachelor or master level in a behavioral health related field. They wear plain clothes, they don't carry weapons or anything like that.
I have a police radio that I listen to all day. Listen for, those key words, mental health, behavioral health, crisis.
There's a lot of officers that just call for me. I have my own radio number.
I also have the ability to self-dispatch to them and say 982 is en route.
Officers en route, 914, Armstrong.
So typically I arrive after they've made it safe. I'll make contact and get kind of the rundown, and then I just kind of jump right in.
Like, hey, my name's Allison. I'm a mental health professional. I'm here to help you. I'm not here to take you to jail or arrest you.
Sometimes all a person needs is a voice, someone neutral, someone outside that, can listen. I do a lot of safety planning, including family, their support network, who's close to you. If they're home alone, who can come over and hang out with you today? Can we lock away your sharps? Can we put up your meds? Do you need meds? Can we get you over to the urgent care to get you assessed for your medications? Some of them also are like, oh, I'm so glad you came. This made me feel so much better.
Our main goal as co-responders is to, one, get people connected to the services that they need, and also divert from emergency rooms and jails.
And they almost get a different view of the police responding. That lets me know you care and the officers care.
Please, how can we help you?
My husband has...
In 2020, we had 722 mental health related calls for service. 2022, by that time, 1,479. These mental health related calls for service are increasing. How we're responding to that is increasing the number of crisis intervention team officers we have available, as well as the number of co-responders we have available to respond on these calls.
So what I think is important for the community to know about the co-responder program is that we're here, we exist. All you have to do when you call 911 is ask for us. Say, hey, I want a co-responder to respond to this crisis, and we'll go. I was really struggling about 8 years ago on my personal journey with mental health, and I met some amazing social workers and amazing programs that have helped me get to where I am today. I really couldn't see myself doing anything else. We want to help, and that's what we love to do.
So I had a client, we got a call, she had some suicidal ideations, and she really felt that she had nobody. And and getting to know her story and getting to know who comes around and sees you, well, then we found a support person, and they responded immediately. And we made a plan. I called back and checked on her in an hour, and then I checked on her in 2 hours. We were able to get her into the additional services to where she talks to someone every week or more. I just took a person that really just thought they had nobody and nobody would show up for them, and show them you do. And you'll be amazed who is in your corner if you just simply say, I need a little help.
To the meeting. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in support or opposition of the application? If so, I'm going to call you to the microphone. Has anyone who gave a card to us not been sworn in? Okay, so we're good. Oh, okay, would you please stand and be sworn in?
Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do.
All right. We will be limiting comments to 3 minutes, and I will just go in the order of my stack of comment cards. If you feel like what you've already said has been said and you don't want to say it again, you can say that you concur with prior comments, or you can speak, either one. But we will go ahead and start with Brendan Williard, and just come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record, please. Either one.
And what would you like me to state? Name and...
Your name and address, please.
Brendan Williard, 1201 Southwest Hook Road. So basically, what I've heard a lot of is talk about this community. What we haven't talked about much is the surrounding community. If you zoom out a little, on the west side of Ward are small acreage properties. If you go north, we have larger acreage properties. And that's something that Lee Summit doesn't have a lot of. And to put a high-density apartment complex and homes right next to that doesn't feel good. Doesn't feel good to the community there. Doesn't feel good to the school systems, traffic, all that stuff. I'm the moderator of a Facebook group for Hook Road between Ward and Pryor. Nobody is on board with this plan. Nobody likes it. The broader Lee Summit community Facebook group also doesn't like it. I'm sure if you're on Facebook, you've seen lots of things about that. Mostly about apartment complexes. One thing that hasn't been talked about much with the traffic is if you take Hook to try to get to 291, you can't go north. You have to go south. So most of the traffic from this community is going to go to Ward. If you've driven on Ward in the mornings or afternoons, you know it's stop and go right now. Basically, it'll back up all the way to Longview coming in. So Longview to Hook is stop and go traffic. Part of that is Pryor, but if you add 700 to 1,400 more cars, that's going to be how it is all the time. And yes, there may be an interchange going in on the other end of Hook Road, but in 5 to 10 years, who knows? So as far as the amenities, there's nothing for the residents that are already there. We don't have a lot of parks or green space down on this side of town, and this would not add any of that. As far as apartments and senior living communities, some of that already exists down south. We don't really want commercial right there because we can go a mile south to get to commercial. We can go a couple miles north to get to commercial. Having it right here in a calm, quiet residential community is not something that I personally want for my family, and most of the residents on that area would agree with me. So yeah, thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. Sherry and Robert Batliner. I don't know, did I pronounce your last name correctly? Batliner, okay.
Okay, this was a lot of information. Oh, I'm sorry, Sherry Batliner, 1200 Southwest Hook Road.
Okay, thank you.
This was a lot of information to take in for just, a resident like me, but I thank you. It did help. I love living in Lee Summit. My husband has lived here for 60 years. And I get growth, obviously not as much as you do and what you need to look at. I understand that. We are on 10 acres on Hook Road. Our back acreage yard backs up to Lee Summit West High School parking lot, so kind of give an idea where we are. We have made memories. We have 8 grandchildren. It's an amazing place. Like Brendan said, I agree with everything he said. We are a community, too, on Hook Road. And we are called Hook Road Peeps, and we're all friends and neighbors. I do worry about when you talk about the conceptual development plan, if we agree, or you agree, whatever, on that tonight or whenever, it's going to be really hard to stop once it's agreed upon, to not be able to give it the green light, let's go for it. So please think about this in a broader spectrum to those of us that are in a community on hook, on acreage. Asking about the CMU material, that's a bother to me if this does go through. Let's don't do it cheap. Let's don't do it to make it look like, I mean, what are you going to build for $350,000 anymore to make it look really good outside? And then that community thing you had a picture of that's modern, and it doesn't fit. We're not a modern little community right there. We are acreage and homes and beautiful settings. We're not a modern day looking facade. That's just something else. I think we need to be careful with the Federal Housing Act, the Section 8. I think we have to be very careful about what we're doing there. And I do think the for sale on the active community, we're active adults. I mean, I'm assuming that's what you're looking at. Like, does that mean 55 or 60 and older, whatever? You know, we're 70, but I'm not going to rent, I'm sorry, a place. If I want to downsize from my 10 acres, which we're going to have to do sometime, I can't see us ever going to renting and paying that kind of money for rent every month at our age that we're at and living in the middle, when you look at that, of townhomes and single homes. I can't see it. There may be people out there that are willing to do that, but it isn't us. But thank you for your time, and thank you for all your work that you're doing on this, and think strong about it.
Thank you. Greg Coatney?
He left. He had to leave.
Okay. Zach Oshawish?
Zach Olshawish, 409 Northeast Crescent Street. Before I get started, I just want to make a quick point of clarification. So Hector, at the end of your guys' conversation, he mentioned the high density, the apartments were at 10.4%. They're actually at 15.4%. So Dana and Sherry, I know you guys know that. We received that packet as we're running for city council. So we are not below the threshold for apartments, we're above it, because they said it for 15, we're at 15.4, and that doesn't include, I believe, it doesn't include Douglas Station, Greens at Wood Chapel, and the East Village. So we'll probably be closer to 16, 17, maybe even 18% when all that's said and done. But speaking of the apartments, you probably noticed Hector and the applicant, they spent a lot of time letting everyone know the apartments are just conceptual, okay? There will be a separate hearing on the apartments. Nobody should speak about them today. But they are asking you to approve plans that create a cutout where nothing would really work quite as well except apartments there. Oh, and they're also asking you to rezone it for apartments so that when they come down to apply for the apartments later, they can tell you, hey, it's zoned for that, so wouldn't it be inappropriate for you to decline it based on that? So I would caution you against advancing any rezoning of that area because it will set them up for an easy case. Yes, these should be apartments there. And in general, I think this project is too dense for the area. I don't like the idea of accepting their exception for the narrower lots either. You know, the applicant said builders want lots, and I think that's great because residents want single-family homes here. So why not just make all this land into residential lots, you know, if the market isn't in such high demand for it? Well, I can tell you why they don't do that. It's because the developer likely wants subsidies, and the city does not subsidize single-family homes. They subsidize townhomes, apartments, and commercial real estate. Really, we shouldn't be subsidizing any of it. And I know this commission isn't responsible for any of these subsidies. But this commission should know that these plans are based off an artificial market conditions which require subsidies and reject it on that basis. The people in the market want lots for single-family homes. We need to stop diverting tax dollars to developers to create products that the market isn't interested in. And we need to stop approving plans that are based on this practice. Thank you.
Thank you. Deborah Giddings.
Debbie Giddings. One thing I want to mention right off, Hector did not talk about the letters in opposition that should have been in your packet, and there was one that came through yesterday that I don't know if you got in your packet. He also mentioned that there's commercial all along Ward Road. There's not, unless you just come right from Walgreens or you come up from 150. There's no other commercial development along that area, so this would be the start of it. He mentioned that the incentives, there is no green space, there is no park space in this. Most developments are supposed to have that. The IGNITE plan calls for single family. We follow the IGNITE plan when it's convenient and it fits within the developer's plans. And it is a concept, but this has a concept of single-family residential homes, and that's not what this is. The apartments, you were asking about the height. The apartments, those are going to be 3- and 4-story buildings. You're going to see that right from Ward. We have that all over. Their Blackwell development, I drive by that all the time. I see nothing but slanted gray roofs. You don't see the buildings, you don't see, it's just slanted, and that's what they're proposing here, are those nice big slanted gray roofs. What else did I have to say? My time's still going, yes it is. Oh, the traffic. The traffic plan, the access management code stipulates what sort of things need to be followed in developing a roadway. The exception of not developing the roadway to the standards of the code are not acceptable. There are other things that were not talked about in regards to the traffic as far as the lanes that are suggested or initiated by, I mean, you know the list you've got in your packet. It's incredibly long of all the things that they have to do to get the road up to standard. That should just be what is in the plan, or it doesn't go through. Don't make those exceptions, or don't make those, well, you're not within the distance from the interchange, but that's okay, or the intersection, but that's okay. We'll let it slip by this time. There are so many things that, since I have started watching these plans going through the planning and the city, that I understand there are variances and things that have to be changed to make a plan work. But let's not just spread it out wide just to get a development. As was stated, if they want to develop here, they will come. We don't have to make all the exceptions and the variances and the subsidies and things to let them come before we allow them to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Janet Garten.
Hi, I'm Janet Garten, and I'm at 2700 Southwest Ward Road, right next to the high school. And this is my first time really being at one of these, so I really didn't know what to expect. And I don't really have a lot of experience with everything but the developers and everything that's going on. But I'm going to ditto everything everybody else said. First and foremost, I got to say is, I just don't want it. I don't want it there. I've lived in Lee Summit for 50 years. I've lived on Ward Road for 26 years. I've seen a lot of development in Lee Summit, a lot of growth, a lot of new families moving in, and I think it's wonderful. I do think that there are some areas, like Sherry pointed out, it doesn't fit this community over there. And I'm not sure, I really didn't really understand the active adults area there. I guess like over 50, maybe more of a retirement place. But I'm at that age, and we've talked about, you know, eventually we may have to downsize, but who wants to live in the middle of that? That just doesn't even fit for that area. Another thing I wanted to point out is there's other areas in Lee Summit that need a lot of improvement. 3rd Street and Ward. I just think that Lee Summit has always been, oh, people want to move to Lee Summit. And it's a beautiful area, it's a beautiful community. I've loved having a high school next to us versus another huge, large housing addition. I didn't always think that at first, but it's really, really been kind of nice. I just have so many things running through my head right now. I think that the traffic, I don't know, they were talking about how 11,000 cars, how does that get monitored? Or, I mean, like, there is so much traffic down there right now. And that area, to me, that they want to develop over there, let me back up just a minute. With the school, there's a lot of safety issues there. There's so much traffic there right now anyway. It's hard for me sometimes to get out onto Ward Road, and I do have to go down and make a U-turn to get back up going north. And I do think the safety of the students, I'm glad that they have a light there now, and they've taken out all those horrible, ugly bushes that they've had going down there, because now you can just see better, and I think it's more safety for the students in the high school. But with something like that going over there, that is going to increase so much traffic. And I don't want to offend anybody, but I just feel like it's just, it doesn't fit that area. And I think it looks cheesy, and I think some things are starting in Lee Summit to make our area and our community, it just doesn't, some areas they just don't, they don't fit. They don't look good. Probably not really putting that right, but anyway, that's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Jeff Williams.
Hi, I'm Jeff Williams. I'm at 3140 Southwest Ward. So we're on the west side of Ward. We have an acreage property and a house we built about 10 years ago. The property is actually right where this proposed Legacy Ridge Drive is supposed to come in, on the edge of our property, and our neighbor to the south. And our driveway is only, one concern I have is our driveway is probably only about 150 feet north of this. There's a lot of sort of narrow acreage properties there. So we're pretty concerned. First of all, I think we know that we're going to probably lose our left turn ability to get out on the Ward, but also with the stoplight that close, I think it may be tough to even take a right turn, and as cars are queuing up at that light going south, we're going to be in trouble to even get out of our driveway. And as traffic builds over time from this development and any future development as it gets dense, you're also going to have traffic coming south from Hook Road and Ward. So even as that light releases traffic, you're going to have a whole slew of people coming down Ward. Is, you know, this development and anything around it that's probably to come. We're also concerned. I understand the again, the apartments are conceptual, and that's a future idea. But the idea of having potentially high-rise apartments there to block the views of all the folks who live in this area is not really appealing to me. Also, I think if I understood the traffic study that was done so far, at least, is only for phase 1 and phase 2 and doesn't include the additional traffic that would go in from apartments or whatever high-density development goes in the future phases. So I think you could probably take the numbers that were listed there and maybe even increase them by 50, 75% over time. So just really concerned about the density of this, concerned about being able to access Ward Road. There's a number of us, just like our friends along Hook Road, that are concerned about the density and then the ability to even get out on the Ward in a timely fashion. And that, again, the comprehensive plan, as I've understood it for 10 or 15 years, never showed anything this dense. It was single family to maybe mid-density homes. So this is really going to change the area in a pretty dramatic way. So that's all I had to say.
Thank you. Justin Rolkmeyer.
Hi, Justin Kolkmeyer, 704 Southwest 33rd Street. I live on the north side of 33rd Street, just south of the East Detention Basin. right there. It was just cleared of trees, so I have two concerns. One is what the developer called a massive amenity complex. I'm concerned with the noise from pickleball court. Pickleball is a very loud sport, much louder than tennis, so I'd recommend some noise mitigation or abatement be installed around that. My bigger concern was with the city's proposal to turn the detention basins over to the HOA of that single-family development. Living south of that, we've had drainage concerns even after the improvements were made. So the city has come back out with a bobcat and had to regrade and replant grass in order to prevent those. A different HOA would not have any incentive to do that. They wouldn't take care of it. They wouldn't protect our property, basically downstream of them. And so I'd recommend the city reconsider that. The detention basin is like a utility, like the streets. The developers improve the streets, then the city takes ownership and they maintain them over time. The detention basin should be the same. They should improve it, make sure it works, and then hand it over to the city for long-term ownership to protect all the residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Carrie, is it Caffel? And I don't know, have you been sworn in?
No.
Okay.
Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
If you'll state your name and address for the record, please.
Carrie Chafello, 2520 Southwest Kenwell Court.
Okay.
Hello.
You can go ahead.
Yeah, I lived here 30 years now in Lee Summit and 20 years off of, well, actually, yeah, 20 years off Hook Road in Monarch View. And I think putting this in the traffic would be really, really bad, especially down by the traffic study they only did to Market Street to the exit to 291. It didn't go all the way down to Quick Trip, which that's really bad down there for anybody who lives around in that area with the Walmart and everything. And it looks like when they're going to build this building, you know, it's going to go Ward, you have to turn right, and everything is going to be turning right, I believe. And they're going to go down there because you can't turn left. So now that they've taken Hook Road, where we couldn't turn left to go up 291, which is a lot harder for us now, everybody has to go down to the light, down by Quick Trip, to go up north, or they have to go to the new light. But, you know, that area to turn left, say you would a Whataburger or Arby's or anything like that, you can't turn left hardly. It gets so backed up and everything, or to turn out a Quick Trip or anything. So now you're going to build 700 units or whatever, and until, you know, anything gets done with the 291 291 Hook Road, you know, addition type thing or whatever, I don't see how this is going to work. There's just too much traffic. And also, we're almost done paying for our house, and I wouldn't go buy or rent an adult villa like somebody else has stated. After I get done paying in 2 years, I'm not going to go buy or rent something. So I don't see how Lee Summit houses are going to keep moving unless, you know, Lee Summit develops something where you can go buy something smaller for an adult area, you know, like, you know, you could have golf carts and, you know, a golf course in it and something like that. So that would be fun. But, and also the lots are so small, and I couldn't find anywhere where they say how big the villas are or the townhomes, and it just looks so small on the lots. So that's all I have to say about it.
Thank you.
So.
All right. Are there any more public comments? Okay. Do we have any more questions from the commission? I'm going to start with Mr. Yerington.
Yes, I want to go back to staff to look at numbers again. I know that you already told me that we as a commission should be looking at the numbers of 10.5 for high rises, but I've heard from the community that that number we should be looking at more what has already been approved. So if it's already been approved, the developers can build, right? And they can move forward with that. So is that not the number that you gave me? I can hear you.
There we go. Are you, help me understand what you're asking here. So are you asking the residential 3 land use category, the numbers of the product or the projects that have been entitled, meaning a preliminary development plan has been approved, but not so much constructed, or not a building permit's been issued yet?
That's right. Because I want us to make informed decisions off the comprehensive plan, and we all need the exact data, so when we push it forward recommending approval, what is the numbers?
If I were to add those numbers in to my housing data, I would also need to add in all the single-family lots that have been approved and have not been constructed yet as well,
Right.
to balance that out and give the full picture.
Right.
Instead, we have 3 categories, so I would have to add those numbers for all 3 categories, not just one particular category. I don't
Right.
have those numbers to give
Right,
you.
okay, so if we have recommend approval, because the number you gave me were at 10.4, but actually, if it was approved, it would be elevated to 15%, right, for apartments. But then, if that's accurate, and we approve this, it's going to rise even further.
I guess I'm not following. That if this particular project were to be recommended for approval,
Yes, sir.
These would fall under one category, yes. So to add in, for the residential 3, which would be the apartments that are conceptual, those numbers are not going to change on that particular project because it's a conceptual product, and
Okay.
it's not
But it will
entitled.
change on the single-family homes, though, if we approve that. And it would change in the
It
missing
would.
middle as well.
But I don't have those single-family numbers for the entire city. So an example would be Arbor Walk, right? We got a lot of Arbor Walk's been approved. The preliminary development plan as a whole has been approved, but there's a lot of phases that are still haven't been built yet. So I don't have the numbers total to add in holistically.
May I make a point of clarification? I don't want to interrupt. That 15.4% was not including the...
Hold on. I'd have to, maybe we can circle back, Zach. Can I interject just
Please.
something? So we've seen a report before that had, actually, I've seen one, and I took that report. It started out with beginning numbers at the beginning of Ignite. It added up all the projects that have been, approved, but most of them had already been constructed. I went and I matched up every single one of those projects. I researched every single one and added up those numbers manually. So I got to a number of this report, which was June 3rd of 2025, and it matched perfectly. So I understood the logic behind it. Then I went to all the city council meetings from June 3rd through last month, and then I also added the Drake apartments that are coming forward and their townhomes, because I did those 2 categories. So I manually went, and I'm a CPA, so I'm a numbers person. I went and manually added those. I know that my housing, the individual housing, I understand that not all of them go through, very few of them even are seen here or at city council. But it was very clear that the missing middle is still missing. It's MIA. And we need to have those numbers before we make decisions. They need to be consistent, and the reports need to be, the definition of the housing types need to match the Ignite. We have 3 types. Is it category 1, 2, and 3? It's not A, B, and C. Okay. So those need to match because we're getting a lot of noise just with all these different definitions. We need apples and apples. And we need these numbers because we're being asked to make very big decisions. And it's not in our purview, but some of this goes on to council. There's incentives involved, and there's all kinds of things. And the council has to have these numbers too because they're actually, they answer to these guys out here. I mean, and it's so, I think the questions here are, we're being asked to look at this plan, but we don't know where we stand. And if we need to be evaluating this. So if we're not hitting the mark, we can decide what we need to do in order to do it. Because that's our job, that's what we've been tasked for. And so there's confusion here. I see it tonight very clearly on the Planning Commission as to what our mission is. I mean, we need to have these numbers. It's very important, and we need them explained, and we need them broken out. I say, if a PDP's been approved, we need to have that included, because we're on the hook. And then if something drops off, I just know that the...
Chair, point of order.
Yep.
Like, we're in questions,
Oh, I'm sorry.
not comments.
I'm sorry.
Madam
And you're
Chairwoman?
going on a
Okay.
comment.
Okay, I
Tunnel.
will hold my comment. Did
Madam
you have...
Chairwoman, I had a question for you.
Yep.
Shannon, how many of these approved things, these approved PDPs, what we approve, what the council approves, how many actually really get built? Is it 50%? Is it 60%? It's hard for me to agree to include everything when not everything gets built. That would just be astronomical. But I think we need to have a realistic number. But I don't think that we can just include everything that's been approved. So what is that percentage?
Any number I would put on that would be speculation, so I don't want to throw out a number out there, but we can look into that.
Because I think what we need to do is we need to find out something that's realistic. I like what you do is because, hey, it's been approved, it's being built, an actual permit's been pulled, that's real, you know. But going through numbers of what's going to happen and what's not going to happen, I mean, we've seen that development come in at 150 and Ward Road a few times now, and nothing's happened there. You know, so there's got to be a realistic level on that. So, yeah, I would appreciate to look into a way to tell us what's something that's real, but something that's not super inflated just because everything's been approved, but something that's and I think, and I like your justification of what you're showing. Some people are never going to believe it, but you have to have something, and so maybe there is a happy medium in between.
Yep. So just to follow up on that, Shannon, the development office does have how many permits are issued to build single-family homes, correct?
Correct.
So we could have, like, I understand the point you're making. We talk about this a lot, actually, like what's approved, what's built, what's conceptual. And there's a lot of noise about all levels, and people don't really understand all the differences and nuances of it. And so I think clarity around it would be helpful if you have the data. You know, it's a simple spreadsheet. So, like, pushing that forward helps make those decisions. So thank you. I think you answered the question, so thank you.
Yes, thank you, Shannon, for your hard work, and we all recognize that. We just want to speak the same language when we go out and talk to people in the community. We want to say, hey, these are our numbers, and we're getting it from the staff. So, thank you.
Any more questions?
I have another question. Okay. Can we talk about the basins again? And look, you're here. See, look how great I did. So, why are we wanting the HOA to take over the ownership? Like, why wouldn't we approach it with having them do the improvements that are necessary and then we maintain it from the city?
Those basins that are in there right now were not designed for developed land.
Okay.
They were designed as sort of an interim approach to the undeveloped land that was draining towards the south. So to leave them in place with developed land would change the nature of what they needed to be doing. So by requiring the developer to basically bring them up to current design standards that the city requires of all detention basins, that way we have them constructed the correct way when they take it over. And as far as maintenance going forward, we do have our new BMP inspection requirements, where on a yearly basis, they'll be required to provide inspection of that basin, and any work that, any deficiencies found, they'll be required to remedy. So it's not going to be able to just get neglected for years. We do have a new code in place for that.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Did you have a question, Commissioner Trafton?
I do, but I can go after you.
Go ahead.
My question is for Ms. Berry. One of the comments was around how do we get to the 11,000 car count on Hook Road, or on any road, actually. You had mentioned that when you were talking earlier, and I know there's a methodology, and I just can't remember it, so I was just wanting you to help me remember.
I think the question is, how do we know when we hit that 11,000, is how I understood the question.
Like how, how do we monitor the traffic flow of our streets to get to that
streets
number?
on a cycle where we put out tube counters or radar counters, and we regularly count the traffic. And so it's on a cycle every so often. We'll count Ward Road.
Yeah, and I'm sure that when people call in, and I've seen you guys put those counters out just periodically too.
Sure.
And maybe they're on a rotation, but I know you guys are monitoring the city traffic flow.
We have a program where we monitor certain roads like frequently. And then others, if we have like a request for speed humps or something, we'll put out additional. We have the ability to take counts in multiple different ways.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just couldn't remember, like I knew you had a process.
Yes.
I just didn't remember what it is. So thank you for re-enlightening me to that.
Okay.
So thanks. My other questions are related to the developer, Mr. Tapp. Circling back on the density of those townhomes. I know you're asking for a variation on the middle section of the townhome circle is what I'm going to call it, because it's got very limited access. It's a big circle with 2 points of access. And I'm guessing that middle are the rear-loaded townhomes you referenced in your presentation, correct?
Alley-loaded, yes.
Yeah, alley-loaded, yeah, which I'm used to alley-loaded. I live in an alley-loaded neighborhood, so I'm familiar with mixed density, and actually I'm a proponent of it. I do have and here's my concern I always have around townhomes, and I think it was brought up, around density, traffic, lot size, all those things. Like, I see a little bit of additional parking there, and I always ask our fire chief, who's not here with us tonight, or he had to leave, I think, but, he always tells me that they've done their analysis. I always concern about width of streets in these areas, because we know with that density, people have multiple cars. If you're, have kids, which this is located between a high school and a middle school, so we know there's going to be more cars than the typical two, right? Or if you have guests, high traffic, high parking everywhere, hard to get through. Like, this is my issue. Like, it doesn't feel like there's any alleviation of that, I guess, is my question. Like, how, it looks like you guys have done a little bit. I like the little build out of the circle, but have you considered that and what that's going to do? That's a lot of housetops and cars over there. a lot of people.
So we always take that as a very serious consideration when we look at our townhome communities. If you drive through Reunion or Reserve in Blackwell, please do so. I encourage you to do so. We make a concerted effort to provide off-street or on-street parking outside of just parking on the street. So if you look at the townhome section, up where it pinches towards Windsong Drive, we have a couple of stretches of parking stalls that are off the street, as well as every unit is a two-car garage, plus, at a minimum, a depth of at least another car, if not two cars, including the interior alley-served townhomes. They all are two-car garage, so you have two cars in there, plus then the depth of that driveway for another two cars.
Another two deep?
Yes.
Okay.
Two wide. On the alley, be one deep, but you can have two in the...
Wide?
Yeah.
Because we know also what happens, because what's the square footage of those homes, like 1,500 square feet?
So our townhomes range between the townhomes and active adult from 1,250 square feet up to 2,000 square feet in the active adult.
I mean, 12, yeah, which is what I would expect for that product. But we also know those garages become storage units because people like to collect stuff. And you always see cars overparked in these areas. So you've answered my question about that. I think I had another follow-up question, but I think I forgot it. So you were effective
and also too, real quick,
that
Commissioner,
question.
I'm sorry, along the southern street of the townhomes where there is the alley served, but also the front loaded on the other side. On the alley side, there will be street side parking along there. We have enough width to allow for folks to park along there, as well as the bumps out I was telling you about, both in townhomes and the active adult villa areas. We make a concerted effort to provide those bump outs in other areas. And also in the active adult by the clubhouse, we have 3 bump outs there for mainly guest parking.
I did notice that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Is there going to be no parking on one side of that street?
That I would lean on the city to say, what are the regulations, requirements? We're happy to work with the city.
That's what's had to happen in my neighborhood because of the multitude of trucks that deliver packages every day. Okay. All right. You answered that question.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. I'm just looking. I think those were my big questions. Thank you, Chair.
You asked when I was going to ask, so. Do you have anything, Commissioner Yerington?
Yes. Is there any plan for a landscaping plan for that southern property on the other side of the detention basin that we had a community member say that there's going to be a lot more noise from pickleball and things of that nature? I don't know if there's any plan to put a landscaping plan, trees on that side.
Good evening, Dan Foster with Schlegel and Associates, landscape architect for Griffin Riley. First of all, there's existing trees along that entire southern boundary that we're not planning to remove at all. So there'll be all of that material there. And then in addition to that, per the city code, we're required to put in a certain amount of landscaping on both the single family and around that area. So that's something that we can look at, knowing what the concern was, that, see if we can embellish that a little bit. So.
Thank you. That's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Jana Ford.
Thank you, Chair. I guess this could go for both, but Mr. Tapp, come on up, please. So earlier in your presentation, you indicated that you had done the development, that's the 150 Blackwell Interchange area. If I remember correctly, you said the senior-style housing you had there was not complete yet, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. And do you have any of those leased already?
So we are very, very close. It's, again, a construction phased approach. So we go building by building, start the clubhouse, and then do the buildings closest. I believe we have, because I just did the reporting, I believe we have 4 buildings that are very close. Definitely 2 of those are extremely close to welcoming residents. So we're just now into that pre-leasing into leasing phase of that.
Are they, remind me, are they family style or are they townhome style, or what's the style of those?
Very, very similar to what we're proposing on here. So it's single family attached, so 4 units per building,
Okay.
all 2-car garage.
So I'm going to segue into something it's the comprehensive plan here. The excerpt reads, maintenance provided housing is growing in demand that accommodates young professionals and empty nesters who want to lock up and leave to travel periodically. So there were several comments about not wanting to give up basically a paid home to then go to rent. You talked about these being rented and no amenities provided. I guess the question is how, with the market trying to be incentivized to consumers, why wasn't a amenity provided, concept provided for this adult villa specifically?
So if I'm understanding your question correctly, I think, are you asking why the active adult's not for sale?
It's a mix of both, yeah.
Okay.
So for instance, I lived in an apartment in college and amenities were provided. Utilities, trash, it was great. Whether this is rented or sold, this is like a description from the Ignite plan of things that are missing. Why wasn't an amenity like that considered as part of this to add to the glamour, I guess, of doing something like this in the residential area?
We have full amenities there. So if you could see on the plan I'm showing right now, in the active adult, there is a clubhouse with the full outdoor amenities and trash and utilities and all that. So.
Okay, so trash and
It
utilities
checks
are
that
included?
box very much so. And,
Okay.
and I want to be very respectful, and I really appreciate the residents coming out and spending time away from their families to come. And I echo that. I own a house. I live in a house that I own, and I care about my neighborhood. So I really appreciate folks coming and spending their time. I will say there is a tremendous amount of downsizers, me included. I just downsized. Downsizers, and then again the bookends of the demographics that prefer a lock and leave lifestyle. We seriously contemplated it because as our kids get older, they move outside of Kansas City. I live close to KCI, but it'd be nice just to lock that door, not to worry about mowing or having the neighbor mow the yard or, all those things. It's a fantastic lifestyle. So we are finding that is the case across the board. And I echo, I say here on the Ignite plan for that.
Okay, no, I appreciate the clarification. I just wanted to get an idea of what you were after in terms of what are you providing for the end
Yes.
user. And then I guess the last question is, since it is phase 2 and it's market-driven, as you said, do you foresee that the plan would stay the same, but the audience that you're targeting would change?
In terms of like the single family pod C? Or-
No, same. So I'm still talking about the adult villas because you have it.
Oh, in the phase 2, yes, the green area. No, that is merely just phasing in the active adult. It's not meant to be, the leaves have changed and so we want to do this instead. It's going to be a continuation of that reunion 55 plus active adult product.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yes. And also, I wanted to mention, you're talking about comparing apples to apples and when PDPs get passed or not. And I would also say that even if a PDP is approved, they still have to come back to you all for an FDP. So at that time, you'd say, what are the numbers now? You don't have to really necessarily look at approved PDPs, but as FDPs come through, you say, oh, here's the numbers. So where are we at on that?
Thank you.
Yes.
I have a question for Mr. Tapp again. I waited. Okay, so there was a comment, and maybe there's been a couple of comments from the public about the smaller lot size. Will you speak to how smaller lot sizes help make the house more affordable, I should say attainable, versus the larger lot size?
Yes, as most folks that may have taken basic economics know, there's 2 factors in everything, supply and demand, and those 2 have tremendous effects on the pricing of housing. That's what we're getting at, is making it more attainable. Well, we have the demand side and we have the supply side. And so supply side, on the construction cost, if you can provide narrower lot, I will say, you're able to offer more units along the same stretch of road, which then reduces your cost, and in turn, you relay that onto the end consumer. So now a house that would have been X amount on a wider lot now is this amount, making it more attainable. And it is extremely important because, again, we are, and I can reference a bazillion articles, and everyone is talking about, it's a big buzzword of housing affordability, and we are in a crisis right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, I could add a little bit of additional information to that. So we regularly meet with the Home Builders Association, and during our last meeting, they talked about that lot development cost. We're seeing rough numbers, depending on what type of development. We're seeing about $1,800 a linear foot to develop a lot. So if you're looking at a 75 or 70-foot wide lot, that is a $126,000 lot. And when you look at, okay, now I have a $126,000 lot, what kind of house can I put on that? You want to keep your lot cost to be 20 to 25% of the overall cost. So now you run those numbers out. So the house you have to put on a $126,000 lot gets much larger and much more expensive. So if we reduce that lot cost, lot development cost, we reduce the overall housing attainability cost to hit that missing middle mark.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, if we do not have any more testimony or questions from the commission, I'm going to close public hearing and open it up for the commission to discuss this application. I'll start with you, Commissioner Benbrook.
All right, thank you, Chair. Appreciate it. Whew, it's been a long one, hasn't it? All right, let's kick this off. There is a place in Lee Summit for this development, and I don't believe it's here. I'm just going to be honest. You tied in a future phase of apartments and commercial that I cannot support at this intersection. I just don't think it's good here. I am all for pods A, B, and C. Even with the reduced lot size, I think that makes a lot of sense to me. Having built homes myself or been a part of building homes, I could support the active adult villas. I think that would even work in this area. The townhomes with the reduced or the increased density, I don't like. I'm going to be honest. I've seen neighborhoods like this. The way you've got it laid out is like a mathematician, not a planner. And I see what type of neighborhoods those turn out to be, and that's a terrible place to live. I'm just going to tell you, I wouldn't be there. At this phase, where as it sits now, I really cannot support this. I don't think this is the right area for it. I don't think we have the traffic control for what we're trying to put here. And we have areas to the north and south and even to the east that would support the commercial and the apartment. This particular intersection, I don't believe, is a good fit for this project. I love this project somewhere else, but I'm not a big fan of it where it is now. I drive through or up and down Hook Road regularly. I have friends that live over there. I visit over there. And I understand that development is moving and it's pushing south and it's pushing north and east and west in all different directions. And I don't expect that this is going to stay agricultural or even large lot for more than a few years. But what we're looking at here, I don't believe is a good fit. And I don't believe I could support it as it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Benbrook. Commissioner Tazinski?
Madam Chairman, thank you. You know, as Lee Summit continues to grow, there's a lot of acreage just north of here that's going to pop. And a lot of that acreage between Hook Road, Shear Road, that's on the east side of that block or just to the west of 291, that's going to be really high density. It's going to be an entertainment activity zone. There's going to be stuff going in there. This square of land, I really liked to maintain single family, maybe some larger sizes, because I feel like it really fits in with the neighboring areas. But like Commissioner Benbrook said, I like the single family pod A, single family pod B, and the pod C. I do like the idea for the active villas. And I'm going to mirror what you said. I've got a close friend whose parents are highly educated, did very well, and they live in an apartment because they want to lock the door and go away and have zero worries. Maybe gone for a month, maybe gone for a week, and they know when they come back, everything's running, the grass is cut, and there's zero concern there. So there is a section of the community that really wants this, and it's growing. And I really just do not like the apartment community right in that location either. That is, to me, is a non-starter. Unfortunately, though, as we continue to grow these areas, these big intersections, Hook Road, Ward and Shearer Road, and even moving north, Ward and like Longview Road, those are all going to have some sort of commercial at those points. It's just what happens. It's how the city's developing. It's what our comprehensive plan, if you look at it, it even shows nodes, commercial nodes. So having commercial in this area here is probably going to happen at some point. But the rest of it, I think, with the single family. So like Commissioner Benbrook, I'm really not going to be able to support this the way it is now. But I do appreciate the opportunity for you guys to bring this through. I want to be welcoming to the development community so that they can come up with good products so that we can have people live here. And unfortunately, those days of $150,000 single-family homes, 1,700 square feet on decent-sized lots people can afford are just in the past. I just don't see it. But we have to find some great opportunities to allow that kind of homes here so that we can keep our children here. I've got a 22-year-old and a 20-year-old, both in college, and I know what their potential salaries are starting out of college. It's more than what I made in 97 when I graduated, December 96, way more. But I also know the property was value back then was a lot less too. And it's just they couldn't buy a home here in Lee Summit. And I know that's that missing middle, or at least around that missing middle that we're looking for. So those are my comments. I appreciate the developer coming in here, but I just really can't support this at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Jana Ford?
Thank you, Chair. Overall, I do appreciate the discussion. There was clearly a lot of thought that went into this development and how it's laid out. I echo that's exactly why I asked the question about the heights. I don't think a high-rise apartment greater than 2 stories would fit along Ward Road. Just breaks it. And I echo what you guys said too. I feel like this area is still trying to find its voice. How does it fit into the context? What are we trying to create? What charm are we trying to grow out of or grow into? I would actually propose, regardless of how this turns out, that we exclude the apartment community from this entire application. And then I would say, I do like the townhomes. I think that's something that's missing. Before I bought my house with my husband, I was looking into apartments, and it just wasn't feasible. But having an option like this, where there's a lot to choose from, different locations, it makes it a little bit easier to have that ability. Density, I don't like that at all. I think it needs to be a little bit less dense to really make that townhome kind of like a home. A townhome is a midway point. So I don't think I would agree with this either. Thank you.
Commissioner Grono?
Just a couple of quick comments, because I completely agree with what everyone else has said tonight, and I don't want to reiterate it. My only comment is that for me personally, it's really hard to look at a conceptual development plan and make zoning change decisions. It's a little challenging for me, because I do feel like, and we've continued to just reiterate that this is going to be apartments. So that would just be my only comment there, and I completely agree with you, just excluding it from the conversation or the application. But the conversation was really, really good. I felt it was super collaborative, and I appreciate everyone and all their efforts tonight.
Commissioner Trafton?
Thank you, Chair. I'm not going to reiterate a lot of this comments. I have some additional comments related to, we're here to make a recommendation to council about zoning and preliminary development plans. That's our role. I think that's very clear. And I can't support the RP4. I really appreciate what you guys did with carving all that out, but there's so much RP3 here, And, I mean, I get, like, there's a, you know, a movement against PMIX because PMIX includes apartments, and there's the sentiment around apartments. And I just think we could achieve, you know, not going to that level. I agree, I don't think this is the right place for an apartment complex in the future, ever. I also agree with Commissioner Jasinski that there's a 4-mile stretch on Ward Road. There's going to be commercial pockets along there between Ward 150 and 3rd. And there probably should be, actually, for convenience of all the people that are going to be over there. All that land is going to get developed out. It is going to become housing. Right now, we want it to be R1, RP1. I would really like to see less density as well around the townhomes. I'm concerned about the traffic. I do like, thank you, Sue, for pointing out where the Hook interchange is going to go for 291, because that is where the activity center is supposed to be and where apartments would most likely be a nice place for, around that highway. So with that, I'm not recommending this for approval for those reasons. I would like to see the adult villas less dense as well and for sale, because I would like to buy it. So, all right, thank you.
Commissioner Yerington?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also concur with all the commissioners, but I don't have a holistic opinion right now because I'm really distraught of not having the correct percentages, right, where we're at for the comp plan. And that's where I would love to know that, because I don't know if I'm supporting the comp plan or I'm not supporting the comp plan as far as that's concerned. However, I do agree. I love mixed use development. Absolutely love it. But right here in this community, I don't think it just fits. And I concur with everyone that said that. So with that, I don't think I'm going to support this.
Okay, thank you. I won't restate everything that's been said. I'm in agreement with the other commissioners, but I will say that I really do like the fact that it didn't come to us PMIX and that was broken out. I think that's great. I'll just say, back to the active adult villas. Well, first of all, I want to say two things. On the smaller lots, I know that a lot of people don't like that, but I do know that it does help make things more attainable for people. And as prices have changed and as the economy's changed, we have to be willing to look at that, and I do like that part. As far as the active adult villas, what this would mean as it relates to the IGNITE plan is if someone 55 and over decided to downsize and sold their home, and they built up enough equity where they could either pay for one of these cash or put a sizable down payment on it, it would make, and then Jackson County, when they turn 65, puts a freeze on those property taxes. It does a lot for that person, and it does a lot for meeting the goals of our IGNITE plan. It allows people to age in place, it provides a community for all ages, and then it provides for quality of life. So I think that's just something to think about with that. And that's all I really have to say on this, and I'm going to look for a motion if we have no more comments. Commissioner Benbrook, do you want to make the motion, please?
Sure, if I can make it correctly. Thank you, Chair. I move to recommend for denial. Is that correct? Of application?
Yes.
Of application PL 2025-079, rezoning from AG to RP1, RP4, and CP2 preliminary development plan and conceptual development plan, Legacy Ridge, 815 Southwest Hook Road, Griffin Riley Property Group applicant.
Second.
Okay, before we do the vote on this, remember, if you are in favor of denying it, it's a yes vote. If you're not in favor of denying, it's a no vote. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Ed Yerington,
Yes.
Terry Trafton,
Yes.
Dana Arth,
Yes.
Jessica Greneau,
Yes.
Tanya Jonaford,
Yes.
Chip Tazinski,
Yes.
Randy Benbrook.
Yes.
Madam
Okay.
Chair,
Oh,
may I ask if we were to pull the apartment community portion, would we gain support from the planning commission?
do we need to reopen public?
I was trying to stop before the vote
Okay,
count, but
okay, hold on 1 minute, let's
Let me
get a point
confer
of
with my
order.
attorney to see what the proper procedure
Okay,
is.
thank you.
I still don't support it.
Yeah, it would make a difference.
I know.
I still don't support it.
I'm gonna wait till what he says.
There's more work needs to be done. Right, right.
We can't go back on a vote anyway, can we?
No, I think, so after huddling up here, we've had a vote and on a recommendation, so the public hearing's closed, the vote's been taken, and I think at this point, we're past reopening it. We can have some additional conversations with the applicant to kind of see if they want to go to the, this is a tough one. So I think we're past that. So I think the recommendation would be to kind of move on, and then we can have side conversations with the applicant to see how they want to proceed.
Okay, okay. So the motion passed, and we are ready for roundtable. Somebody said they had something. Who?
I had something, however, we took care of it during the open session.
Okay.
I have a question. So when we're looking at the Ignite plan and we are, so we get our packet of information and it comes through with, this aligns with the Ignite plan. What type of matrix or data points outside of numbers and where we're at are used or evaluated for the basis of that recommendation from staff?
So the night plan is a multi-page document.
Right.
That outlines many goals and comments and many things we want to.
Shannon, can you?
Sorry.
Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so the Ignite Comprehensive is a very large document.
Right.
And there are a lot of different goals and, you know, areas we want to work towards beyond just numbers, right? So we do look at that as a holistic. There's a lot of different things in there. Some of those things we look at as kind of the overall. Do we meet some goals? Maybe we're not 100% alignment on certain portions of it. I would say an example of that would be the future land use map. Right, so the future land use map is contained within the comprehensive plan, and that's just a bubble map saying, hey, we kind of think this area is going to go this direction. So maybe an application like this one comes through and it kind of meets that, but doesn't meet those boundaries exactly. So we look at it and says, does it meet the intent and the idea of what we're trying to accomplish holistically? Does that help?
It does help. I just, sometimes it's hard to understand from our perspective because there could be multiple things of, hey, this is why this aligns with the Ignite plan. Of those things, which are the priority, which aren't, how are we basing those decisions? Just a little bit more of matrix or understanding of where the priority should be as it pertains to our role.
So, you know, we can be meeting goal X, Y, and Z, but maybe not goal C, right? So are we going to throw the baby out with the bathwater here because we're not meeting one, but maybe we meet other ones, right? So that's really kind of where you guys come into play and say, hey, what do I see as the Planning Commission as our priorities, and what do I want to see for this area? So that's what your calculation is in that.
There is a criteria list,
Right.
which is
Have it
what,
all.
section 2.260? And that's pretty much your standards that you're supposed to weigh against the applications.
I think though what she's saying is
And so
the
that's the
objectives of
list
the
of like,
Ignite.
okay, this is what you review. And one of those criteria is conformance with the comp plan. So then you start digging into the comp plan. Am I in conformance with the comp plan? So that's kind of, we're diving a little deeper into that portion of it.
It's almost like I think I'm looking for like the high, because yes, to your point, and this is part of where my question's coming from, is it's a 200-plus page document that has a whole bunch of different goals that we do have our sliver, a part of that, and sometimes we touch other things as well. So when we're looking at applications or we're looking to make recommendations outside of numbers or the real hard facts, what are those priorities, or what is the hierarchy, or it sounds silly, but here are the things that are red that we want to turn green, and here are the things that are yellow that we want to turn green, and here are the things that are already green. Like having a little bit of understanding and then how those applications align with that might help us a little bit in addition to actual numbers.
So it's spoken as a true linear thinker. The comp plan is very nonlinear, right? That's, having X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3 is very engineer type thinking. Planning is very broad.
I live in gray. I'm okay. I can hang with the gray.
So the comp plan doesn't really, there's not a definite hierarchy of which goal is the most important versus which goal is least important. There's no real ranking there. So really you're just gonna have to look at here's all my goals, which one for this area, because every application is different.
Well, and I think
This is what makes planning so kind of fun, in my opinion, right? Like
it is fun.
It's
Tanya, were
we
you
get
going to
to look
say
at it
something?
and,
Well, I
and
think,
have
like,
these conversations.
the fun part of it is we have guidelines. I think of like Pirates of the Caribbean, they're not laws, they're directions.
Yeah.
But I think like planning involves a lot of contextual like vocabulary. Like what does the context look like? How do we make it not seem like an eyesore, right? That's your red flag you're looking for. So I think that's.
And the comp plan, I would say is a it's like the bumpers when you're bowling, right?
Yeah.
It's just, hey, let's keep in this lane, but we can go through here, right? So, and it's very subjective to the reader. What I think is a beautiful subdivision of modern architecture may not be so beautiful to somebody else. So it's very broad.
I do think, just to add to what she's saying, is like category 1, 2, and 3, for example, like category 3 is RP4. How does that line up to what our relationship is to it? Category 1 is R1 and RP1. Category 2 is, RP3, RP, So, and then to also have, like, this is current state, this is the ideal state, and this is projected, because we can project what we have approved, right? Because you say not everything, and we know not every complex gets built that you guys approve, or that we approve and the council, we recommend and the council approves. So, just like, I think some of that would help with clarity as well. And like, where is this project in relationship to that? So it's like aspirational, right? So like, can we get there?
Yeah, so when we get to the category 1, category 2, category 3, there are definitions of that, and they don't exactly align with the zoning districts. The categories are residential, the category 1, residential category 1, residential category 2, they align with the use type, not the zoning, right? So a category 1's more your traditional single family, correct? But that could include the larger lot type single family. The category 2 also includes single family. So that could be a category 2 could be an R1 zone property that has a little higher density. Category 3 is your apartments, your higher density stuff. So it's really apples to oranges almost when you're comparing the comp plan categories to this particular zoning districts, because they don't align evenly, if that makes sense.
So.
Okay, thanks for that. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, it's, Commissioner Yerington was talking about like the vocabulary, like to be on the same level, and I understand that the zoning doesn't apply to how the comprehensive plan categorizes the housing types. I wonder if in like the report that you provide us, if you could just do like a high boilerplate, like, all right, this project's RP1, but it's also category 1 that we're talking about, just so it kind of helps marry the two definitions, because category 2 could also be RP1, right? So just kind of like help kind of ease the confusion maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know. So just my thought.
And really where this generated from is I did go digging around. I should have provided context. And I found the development dashboard, and I could see the other objectives. And when you drill down into those, they have little status bars that let you know how close they are to goal. And when I got to what I feel is more of our area, there's not anything really there, or I don't know where to find it. So that's where it kind of generated this whole slew of thought for me that all came out today amongst all of us. So, thank you.
Also, a point of clarification here. At the end of the motion, when you made the motion previously, at that point in time, it immediately ends the discussion, the debate, and we vote on the motion. So we can still work with developer aside, but procedurally, we did the correct thing there.
Thank you.
I just want to thank all the residents that came out and support and to voice their opinion and stuck with us all night, because it's been a long night for all of us. This isn't our longest meeting though, so, but we do appreciate everyone's input and that you're willing to share it, so. And all the staff's hard work on this stuff.
To Commissioner Trafton's point, this is not our longest yet. I still have time to go. For staff roundtable portion of it, I just want to let everyone know that Mr. Bushek will be leaving the city. Tomorrow is his last day, so I want to take this opportunity to thank him for all his hard work while he is a little under the weather today and not able to be with us. I do want to make it known that his hard work is going to be very much missed, and sad to see him go. So, then also, you should have received a calendar invite for a tentative joint session with the Planning Commission on February 10th. Or sorry, the Planning Commission and City Council. It's late, sorry. Tentative date for February 10th for that joint meeting. At this point, we don't have an agenda yet, but as soon as I get more information, I will let you know.
Preempted my question. Like, if was there going to be something specific that we were working on with council? So, okay, thank you.
Absolutely, specifically for you, I will give you a pile of work.
I know you will.
Is it going to be 6 o'clock, Shane?
Was that?
Is it going to be 6 o'clock?
It'll be 6 o'clock here
Okay.
in Chambers.
Okay.
It's at 6, not 5.
And that's all I had.
Is that Thursday?
Anything else?
Is that Thursday?
All right. Thank you. The meeting is adjourned at 8:19 p.m.